Tell me when, Piper. Hey, good evening, everyone. This is truly a special night. It is our last meeting of the year. This is the regular meeting of Wednesday, December 17th at 5:30 PM at Rebecca Hall. Please join us remotely if you would like. And if you have problems with your computer, I always like to read the number. The call-in number is 301-715-8592, and tonight's passcode is 61929. Meeting ID is 898-503-9990. The purpose of HARC is to preserve, maintain, and enhance the historic character, scale, integrity, architectural integrity, and cultural resources of the town and the THLD. With that, we'll call roll call on from town council. We have, is Elena here online?
No.
Elena just got appointed to be our liaison for another 2 years. So if you're listening to the recording, Elena, thank you. From staff, we have Piper, Kristen, Darren. Is David online? No. John Southard is here as our consultant, who we just had a good meeting with today. And Allie, to keep us straight in our last meeting of the year. Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes of November 19th?
Sure. I move to approve the HARC meeting minutes dated 11/19/2025 as written.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's vote from this side and go this way.
We didn't introduce.
Well, we're
You didn't
going to.
introduce all of us first.
Oh, and from the board, we'll do roll call. Traditionally, when roll call, we actually, creatures have it start this into the table.
Sherry Gorley.
Stacy Lake, Matt Lee,
Mark Shambaugh.
Bob Mather.
Andrew Williamson.
Okay, welcome all. Thank you, Bob. And we have a second. So
Yes.
let's vote. Should we go ahead and,
Let's just keep it.
I wasn't here, so.
yes. Well, we'll go ahead and start with Stacy. See what,
Well, I missed that meeting, but I'll vote.
oh my gosh. Okay,
Matt, yes.
Mark, yes.
Bob, yes.
Andrew, yes.
Okay, and I'll make the motion, since I was the only attendee, for November 21st, the chair meeting. And I approve the minutes as written. And since it's the end of the year, I have to say, great job on all these minutes, Piper,
Thank you.
for keeping us straight all year round, all year long. Staff announcements.
No announcements this evening.
Sorry.
No announcements this
Okay.
evening.
Well, I'd like to just say three things real quickly. Number one, congratulations, Andrew. It was your time stepping up. Maybe you can make 3 of the 4 motions tonight. And also I want to welcome Sherry Gorley, whom I guess everybody has met, but if you just give them a 1-minute introduction, because some people don't know your background, please, and we'll get started.
Sure. I'm Sherry Gorley, originally from Arizona, and before that, Maryland as a child. I'm actually, my education is, I have an electrical engineering degree from NAU in Flagstaff. And after practicing engineering for a while, I decided, why not go and get a law degree? So I did that, got my law degree from ASU, and then have been practicing patent attorney for the last 30 years. I am the chairman of a invention review committee for 13 years. And what I've seen is that it's a very similar process to what happens here. We get presented with new ideas all the time. The committee reviews it. We have a committee of very seasoned engineers. They review it, and we apply the state of knowledge against the relevant laws and either approve or deny investment in patenting. So that's what I've been doing. I love Telluride, love history, somewhat of a code geek. So I actually like reading the land use code and the design guidelines and whatnot. I've had some great experiences training with Nori Winter earlier this year, and positive experiences just interacting with HARC and P&Z. And so that inspired me to apply. And so here I am.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
Thank you. And It was great. She spent all day with us at our March training with or February, I guess it was, with Nori, and we got inspired to join us. So thanks. And my last announcement is, since there were only Kieran and I at the last meeting, his last meeting, and some of you were virtual. And Elena, by the way, a footnote, we congratulate you for being our liaison for 2 more years while you were gone. Okay. But I'm just going to read it in the record that we will miss Kieran, and seriously, when I think of being blind to the applicant, really sticking to the meaning of the guidelines, I think we would all agree he was one of the more stringent and unwavering member of our board to support the design guidelines. Of course, he made history, or he made a living out of history, and so we'll miss him. And hopefully between all of us, we can work to be as fervent with our support of the design guidelines as he was. I think he set a good example. So thanks to him, if you're listening, and you forgot to pick up your packet. Okay, public comment on non-agenda items. Would anybody in the audience like to comment on a non-agenda item, or electronically raise your hand? You could say something, but I don't see anybody. Piper, we good? Okay. So we will begin with the first public hearing item, and I believe in her first meeting, Sherry, you need to recuse yourself.
Yep, I need to recuse based on proximity, so I will squirrel myself away in the.
See you
green
about-
room.
See you in a few minutes.
Okay.
That way.
What a way to start. What a way to start.
Okay. We're off to the races now. Okay. So the first item is Lot 7A, San Juan Village, at a work session, and I think maybe third hearing. The final stage multifamily continuation for November 19th. Consideration application for large scale new construction outside the T2 can contain more than 5,000 square foot. The land use code section 7203B2A1. Project is being reviewed concurrently with Lot A, San Juan Village. Legal description, Lot 7, San Juan Village, PUD Block 20 West. Telluride accommodations, and the rest as written. Address to be determined. It's in the accommodations 2 zone district. Owner, the Langmaid Family Revocable Trust. Applicant, Berkowitz Design. Staff member, Kristen Collier.
Thank you very much, Mark. I don't know if you want to go over the process slide, or I put it up
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
screen.
Um,
Sure.
Yeah, be consistent, right?
Okay.
So for everybody listening and or attending, just a reminder of the process, 7 steps. Chair introduces the project, staff gives the presentation, answers questions, and the applicant has 30 minutes or less, and often in continuations, it's 5 or 10 minutes or less. The public is invited to make comments on the project, but we ask for 3 minutes or less. And if your comment, you agree with the person that just spoke, just for time efficiency, if you could just stand up and read your name and say you agree, unless you have something different to add. The applicant then can make a rebuttal, public comment ends, and HARC deliberates and hopefully makes a decision. So thank you,
Great.
Kristen.
Thank you, Mark. Okay. So these are the standards for review. I just put this up for the record, reminding the public of the standards that HARC will follow to make their determination. So this is San Juan Village, Lot 7A, and this is the final. This is just the overview information that Mark just went through, noting that the subject lot is currently Lot 7 in terms of the legal description, but once the approved replat's recorded, which would be subsequent to the HARC review process, the subject lot will be Lot 7A, so I'm going to refer to it as 7A throughout. And this is being reviewed under the 2024 design guidelines. This is the basic background information. Because HARC has seen all this before, it's in your packet. Again, just to remind the public, we are located outside of the Telluride Historic Landmark District. We're in the accommodations 2 zone district, which allows higher densities. We are directly north and adjacent to the pedestrian bike path, and this lot is just at the north side of Colorado Avenue in a highly visible location at the gateway to the town, and it's part of the San Juan Village PUD. So There's been an extensive project review to date. I'm not going to go through step by step, but it's on the record and in your packet. I'm bringing us up to the present. So most recently, on November 19, 2025, the applicant requested to continue the public hearing on the final for Lot 7A to December 17, 2025, following a brief discussion with HARC, and HARC continued the public hearing to this evening. At the same time, a public hearing was held on Lot 8A, and at the conclusion of the public hearing, a motion passed unanimously to approve the final large-scale new construction on Lot 8A, San Juan Village, based on the findings in the staff memo dated November 19, 2025, with two conditions. The conditions were on the east unit, Building B, set back the wall above the third floor, a minimum of 24 inches, and add a shed roof to break up the mass and scale, and that approval for Lot 8A shall be contingent on the approval of Lot 7A. So I'm just mentioning that here because should 7A be approved this evening, it then meets that second condition for Lot 8A as well. These two projects were reviewed concurrently throughout the process. So overall precepts of the design guidelines, I'll say them once and then they apply to all the projects. Keep it simple, keep it in scale, respect historic resources, and make all new design compatible with the existing context. So the plans have been revised by the applicant based on the HARC condition from the August 20th, 25 public hearing regarding Lot 7A, and to address the HARC condition from the 11/19/2025 public hearing regarding Lot 8A. The applicant had already demonstrated compliance with previous conditions from prior HARC public hearings. And so these are those two conditions. First, for Lot 7A, set back the entire mass of the southwest corner of Lot 7, Building D, an additional 5 feet from what they already did per introduction paragraph 1, etc. And so the applicant did set back a portion of the mass of the southwest corner, but not the entire mass, the requisite 5 feet per the condition. So the applicant will speak to this, but staff finds that the condition is not met and the condition has been revised. And I will let the applicant elaborate on that. And secondly, I'm bringing this one up because, again, approval of 7A then would be approving the 8A, and there was one condition which the applicant chose to address as part of what they're showing you this evening, just so that you're all seeing it as a full HARC board. To, on the east unit, Building B, set back the wall above the third floor line a minimum of 2 feet and add a shed roof to break up the mass and scale. And so the applicant has done that above the third floor. It now steps back the requisite 2 feet. The shed roof had been added prior to the last public hearing, and the condition has been met. So, pending project approval by HARC, building, planning, and public works staff have identified items that will need resolution prior to building permit issuance. These items should not impede the HARC review process. These include ensuring building, planning, and public works staff will ensure that these items are addressed at the appropriate time, including final building plan set being in compliance with the land use code and building codes for Lot 7A and Lot 8A, including meeting all standards for buildings in flood zone AO. And again, these aren't part of HARC's purview, but just so the public knows that these items will be addressed: permanent drainage, landscaping irrigation plan, detailed utilities plan, confirmation of adequate on-site snow storage based on final plans, etc. So during the building permit review, all of our departments again review the project and follow up on additional layers that are outside the purview of HARC. So the staff finding and recommendation, I'm speeding along because the board has seen this project many times at this point. For Lot 7A of the San Juan Village PUD, it's situated at the gateway to the town and the Telluride Historic Landmark District. For this reason, thoughtful development of this property is especially important to ensure visual continuity from the west edge of town to the historic core. The revised submittal fully addresses one of the two remaining conditions from August and November, and staff would recommend approval by HARC with one condition remaining. And I provided a proposed motion here, should you consider to move forward in that direction. And I do think it's very important that the applicant speak to their project as well. But this is, the one condition is something they wanted to bring forth to you. So I'll stop now and I can answer questions later at any time once the applicant
Thanks, Kristen.
presents.
Questions for Kristen?
I have one. Just you mentioned that the condition was modified originally.
Mhm.
It appears to be virtually the same.
Virtually.
And
Yeah.
this is a condition that affects mass and scale.
Mhm.
And it hasn't been addressed for our for the condition. So I'm asking, why would you recommend approving it versus continuing it when it hasn't been that?
This is a good
Kept the
question.
condition though.
I kept the condition,
This
so
says it has to go another 5 feet, which was the board's direction, right?
yes, so I think for that reason, it has come before this board quite a number of times. So if you are comfortable with staff and the HARC chair ensuring that the condition is met, I think that would be a path forward. That said, staff, I will say, did strongly recommend to the applicant to meet that condition prior to coming to this hearing. And the applicant will speak to their reasoning for not having met it, but the staff hope had been that the condition would have been met prior to coming here. So I just didn't think we'd want another full public hearing on one remaining item, and it's a partial item because they have addressed it partially, but not fully. And so that's up to you, though, if you'd like to continue it. Obviously, you certainly could do that.
Okay, thanks. Any questions? No? Okay, Ron, welcome and read your name in the record and take part here.
Hi, good evening. Ron Berkovitz Design. Back again. So appreciate everybody's patience. I know it's been a longer process. It's a complex building, a difficult building, a difficult location. And so hopefully we're there or almost there after this hearing. So and I did want to kind of just give my viewpoint about, I mean, we got an approval in August. It was a preliminary approval. And then I was asked to submit an entire new application. In fact, two different, we had one application that had both buildings, and then they said, well, you need to do, this is a whole new process. You need to do two applications. So my understanding is that final approval is a whole new process. There was a separate one done for preliminary. Of course, you would reference the preliminary approval and the mass and scale approved of that. And of course, you would reference the condition. So, and then one thing in the approval of the preliminary, it said, you know, this is a condition that needs to be met within 60 days and you need to submit. And I did that. I went ahead and I made the change and I submitted that. So, I mean, to me, that's like, okay, we're done with that. We've had that condition met. We've got a whole new application referring to the mass and scale, and it's really essentially the same thing. So anyway, that's my perspective. And, you know, if somebody wants to cite some part of the code that says that that's different, that's fine. I've gone through the land use code pretty carefully on that myself. So, and we don't have to talk about it right this second if you want to involve that later. Let's see. There's the site on the unfree side of town. Almost everybody's seen this before. Reminder that our site is outside of the historic district. So it's still relevant, but it's substantially out of the historic district. And a reminder that we are in the accommodation zone district, which has different criteria. You know, the purpose stated is to provide an area of relatively higher densities out of the land use code. Okay, so on to, you've seen this before and variations on it. And so I just kind of want to flip through this quickly. These are the same drawings that you should have in your packet. So I guess the issue at hand is whether the 7A project on the one subject one to the left is substantially set back. I guess it would be from the property line, from the bike trail, and from the street. It's actually, the main facade is set back 76 feet from the street. It's set back 19 feet from the bike trail and 16 feet from the property line, which, you know, in my mind are numbers that are more appropriate for single family residents in a residential district.
Sorry, that was 16 feet from the what? 19 from the bike trail, but 16 what?
From the property line.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So we're getting a pretty good front yard going at this point. You know, it's just, it's in the guidelines that you need to do that. I'm pretty proud of this, the streetscape, the way it steps up. You know, we're now an essential building that helps to make the transition from the super tall Hotel Telluride. Some renderings. I don't know if you got a chance to look at those or not. It's pretty important to understand when you review the project that there are existing street trees there that are substantial and mature, and I think they will all or almost all remain. And then in addition to that, we have a very robust landscape plan. So, we're in the trees. Okay, I just, rather than show the site plan, I wanted to show a kind of an overview of San Juan Village. We are part of San Juan Village. San Juan Village has its own set of PUD regulations. There's a bike path that wanders by it, and the buildings are robust. They're big. They're close to the sidewalk, and I don't feel like as you know, we've got the advantage that we're the transition building of the development, and that's probably the source of discussion about this project. It's not just an infill project; it's the end project. Oh, I also wanted to point out on this. I guess I can do that later. Okay, here's this is where those measurements are taken that I just mentioned from the southwest corner to the bike path, to the property line, and to the pavement. This is the view coming in on the site to the left. You can see the mature trees to the left. The guideline about corridors actually says you need to make sure you use trees to frame that view, and that you allow enough space to create the trees to frame the view. Here it is here, the Colorado corridors. Basically, this is all about views and framing the views. And then we've done that. So I kind of did a deeper dive into the guidelines that were cited, and I was going through them saying, yeah, we've done that. Yeah, we've done that. And yeah, you know, buildings were typically set back a uniform distance from the sidewalk. Okay, well, there's some other buildings in the development that are pretty darn close to the bike path, which is essentially the sidewalk here. There's the guidelines, smaller buildings should provide a traditional front yard along the street edge. Okay, we now have a front yard. So I think we're good. Okay, so again, in this one, the one thing I did want to point out is, we've got this kind of random bike trail, meandering bike trail, and we're concerned about it in this corner here, in the southwest corner of 7A. But that same bike trail gets super close to buildings, as it enters town. And I've got some photos of that too. This is lot 5. It's like you can reach out on your bike and touch the porch and the hand railing there. This is the whatever it is, the gold belt or the gold dust crossing, whatever thing. Again, it's right there. It's you're in an urban environment at this point. You're not in on the bike path west of Telluride where it's bucolic. You're in an urban environment at this point. Again, here's the bike trail and right there next to the building, and it's tight. Across the street, we've got the Mendota building, and that's a pretty robust building too. That's right up tied to the sidewalk. Okay, so this you haven't seen this until tonight, but and actually before I show you that, I want to spend just a minute going through the history. We started a year ago, December of 24. There was a work session, and at that point there were actually 2 driveways and 2 parking structures. And then at that point, it was suggested that maybe we could reconfigure the lot to get kind of the massing to work better. And we did that pretty much right away after December. So this is but all along we've kind of had the triple massing. The project it's not trying to be heroic architecture. We're just trying to be contextual, simple, good contextual architecture. This is this one is actually, sorry about that. This is actually May of 25. Then we were asked to provide more space to the so this one, this is actually July, sorry about that, July of 25. Yeah, we ended up flipping the building and pushing it back. And actually at the July meeting, 3 out of the 4 board members stated in the meeting that they thought the massing was appropriate and the setback was appropriate. But at the end of the day, we were asked to push back the whole structure by 5 feet. So for August, we pushed it back 5 feet. And then in addition to that, I said, well, okay, forms that allow the stepping up of the form are good, and we can use a porch there. We've got an upper level deck, and then I also said, well, another little bay popping out helps break it up too. So I don't think those 2 elements were that well received in August. I think the sense was that they were contributing to the mass. The deck itself, even though it allows the stepping up of the form, I think the board felt it was contributing to the mass. and the same with the bay. So what we've done is we've taken this outermost main south surface on the upper level, and we've stepped that back 5 feet. So and then we've gone 5 feet back. We've gone kind of back to the simple form. Okay, so now this is kind of a hybrid. We've got the simple form, but we still have the deck below, which steps up the form. So in a way, the motion and the conditions said, whatever, move the whole dang thing back. And I'm saying, okay, that's kind of, if you choose to do something slightly different, which I chose, this is a whole new application, it's final, it's not a condition of preliminary, then I can do something different. And so now we're kind of comparing apples to oranges. We've got the main gable back 5 feet. And then that main gable expresses itself down to the first floor. And then in front of that is a bay. And then that particular bay is not back 5 feet from where it was before. So that's kind of the source of non-compliance of the condition. So let me go back to this slide here. So this shows pretty clearly in black and white and red and blue, red being the July. So you can see the progression. We've genuinely been moving it back. We've been changing the form as it's been going back. We've been moving it back consistently at least 5 feet in parts of it each time. Then I think I included this in the packet, but this is kind of like the shooting history in an NBA basketball game or something here. The patterns of the outline of the building here, and I did include in that the outline of the 2006 HARC approved building, which went pretty much all the way up to the setback line. And so I think it should be understandable why we would start out with our design in that particular location and closer to that setback line. So we've got a pretty good history of pushing it back. You can see from the colored lines there. And I feel like at this point, we do have a pretty good front yard. We've got a super good setback. There's the whole thing about the pedestrian scale, and I just wanted to show on this one, what it feels like when you're going down that bike path, that there's really a pretty good setback, and the building's not right on you as you're going by. But again, the bike path is really part of the same bike path. Okay, and this is a section we did. I don't know if you saw the sections. We did 3 sections, and this section is the most severe, where the building goes the closest to the bike path, and that looks pretty reasonable to me. Okay, again, the distances to Colorado Avenue, 46 feet, 19 feet to the bike path, and 16 feet to the property line. The length of the building, I don't know if that rings anything. We're down to around 42 feet plus the little bay. And the square footage is actually to the point now where we don't even need to be a large scale application. We're below 2,500 square feet. So we're actually technically a small scale application at this point. That's old. Once again, existing trees on the site stay. Context we talked about. And then again, the relative adjacency of other buildings within San Juan Village to the bike trail, much closer than we are at this point. So let me go ahead and wrap up here. Yeah, and I guess again, I think, as presented and as drawn, I think you could call this a very reasonable solution. You know, I'm sorry we didn't strictly comply with the motion, but we ended up changing the design, and that's a prerogative, and I hope that was an improvement for multiple reasons.
Anything else, Ron?
I could go on for another 30 minutes if you'd like me to, yeah.
Okay, I mean, anything else
No.
new?
No, I guess the one last thing is, in the last couple of hearings relative to the guidelines, there's just a quick reference to the number. You know, if you're saying I don't comply and want to continue it, I would appreciate you taking the time to elaborate on those guidelines and what specific parts of those guidelines we do not comply with. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions, Ron? Okay, any public comment? If you're online, raise your hand electronically, please, if you'd like to comment. Going once, twice. See anyone? So we will go to deliberations. I would give a forward here that I have all my notes and the drawings from July, well, from May, July, and August. And we used that word in July, substantially setback. Did not specify a number. We came back, although if you listen to the recording, which I actually went back and listened to, Matt made the point of we thought it should be back 10 feet, but we used the word substantial. And then we got to August 20th, and he went back with the top floor at about 10 feet, but then he added the porch. Yeah, then added the porch, which then did not comply. And that's just kind of the history of how we got here. And the only other forward I want to say, because Ron, you did a good job. This project's come a long ways. And, but my belief is from looking through our notes that it was, yes, and Ron showed some pictures of some places closer to the bike path, but it was not exclusively about that. And as Kristen opened up tonight, this is the entry of town. It is the last chance to make sure that we're comfortable with mass and scale on the entry to town. This is it forever. And I think it was also about, as we referenced in AC, the three conditions, about the mass and scale, not just proximity to the bike path by itself. So, I mean, he's within 2 feet of what we asked for, a total of 10 feet or 5 foot further. Staff has made a condition that he should comply with the additional 5 feet in the entirety of that mass. It's higher mass of the southwest corner, as she said, additional 5 feet. So I'm gonna go to deliberations and let everybody speak, but is there a reason we should deviate from staff's recommendation in this regard and our previous discussion for 3 times in a row?
I'll start. I think, as I recall, and it may have been the preliminary approval, or it might have been the continuance before that, but I voted no. And in voting no, the intent of that was that I thought it was compliant and should be approved. If it was during the continuance, I thought it should be approved at the time. And if it was during the preliminary approval, I didn't agree with the conditions. I thought they were too onerous, too restrictive. I think to me, it's clear from these plans. I mean, 5 feet is substantial. It's a substantial reduction in square footage. It's a substantial reduction in mass and scale. We may have discussed 10 feet, but that's not what was in the motion. I think the reductions have been substantial. So from where I'm at, I would vote to approve with no conditions. I understand that's not what the rest of the board's going to do, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Stacy. Matt,
I have a handful of comments. I think primarily I agree with the intention of staff's condition. I would rephrase it slightly. I don't think we need to go back to the August design. I think this design, as far as this front south elevation, facade is compliant. It's simpler than it was before. So I would reference this current package and not the one from August. I would say set back the entire massing of the southwest corner of lot 7A, building D, moving all building components together, including the deck, without modifying the current architectural design intent, an additional 18 inches, which would approximate the original 5-foot ask from the last meeting we had on this. So I agree with the intent. I just would change the wording a little bit to refer to this current package and not going back to a previous
That's a good
design.
point.
And
And that 18 inches gives us the 5-foot setback?
it would, so from my measurements from the drawings, the lower level moved back anywhere between 3 feet and 3.5 feet. The upper level moved back 5 feet because Ron changed up massing with bays and this and that. So I think the net effect would be correct if it was moved additional 18 inches. But I want everything to move together. I don't want more tricks of bays and architecture to try to capture more square footage. I want the intent to be met. There's a few nuances I want to mention. The all the glazing on the south and the western facade has changed. I don't know if anyone picked up on that. I think it's still compliant, but it has been changed and it hasn't been noted or talked about. The grade has been raised significantly around the structure as well. The previous sort of plinth that the southern deck landed on is now pretty minimized. I think it still can work, but wanted to point these things out to the rest of the board. Two other nuances, on the primary gable roof, the one that the height is measured from, on the eastern side, where the fascia or the overhang or the rafter tail, whatever you want to call it, is now a plumb cut instead of a square cut like it was before and like the rest of the design. So that's a trick to essentially get you about 3 more inches of height calculation. So I think that fascia should return back to a square cut, and the grade should be recalculated to the new grading that they have, because the height calculation is incorrect in the drawing. The net effect is going to be a wash. It's going to be the same height. They're going to have the same perspective, but it's just not calculated right now correctly in the applicant's drawings.
But to get to that, they'd have to go to the square cut on the fascia or no?
Yeah. Let me see if that's it. Yeah, so I would just make a modification that I mentioned to the condition, and then I would add an additional condition about the square cut fascia, and then revising the height calculation. And I think it's approvable in this meeting with those changes. I don't need to see it again.
Okay, and the condition from which affects the height is the way the fascia is. You got a condition for that?
I
You
do
can look
have,
up.
I do have a condition.
I want to ask a
Happy to
question.
read them too.
We are talking about the 5 feet. I think for the south side of the building, he's pushed it back a lot,
Except the porch.
except for the porch. But the 5-foot issue on the west side is the back half of the building. That's still only 5 feet. And we're asking for that to be 10 feet.
I haven't. I've kind of maintained for a while that if it was the southern half of the building was pulled farther to the north, it was okay to minimize that setback on the northern half of the lot, because that triangular shape, I'm trying to get this mass out of the entrance to town,
corner,
out of the
yeah.
public way.
Okay.
And
I think actually we did discuss that, and I think we all relented last time because it was this entry corner.
Yeah.
And we let them have that additional mass back there, Bob, to your point, but thanks
Okay.
for bringing it up.
Yeah, because my recollection, maybe I'm wrong, was that we were asking that the front, the south and the west be pushed back.
I was not asking for that. so.
Okay, and I don't have a problem with the way this looks here with that piece sticking out a bit, because it does get wider across. It's
Yeah.
further away from the path and you've got a good side yard, so I'm good
Okay,
with that.
so I'll go next, and then Bob, you we can just turn this into kind of almost a straw poll. I'm good, particularly with this new language, because we've been here before where people, and he's within 18 inches. So I think grammatically it's not unreasonable for this, but where people then change something else on the facade. So I like the way you worded that. So I'd support that. I didn't think of, and I didn't recognize this fascia that affected the height, but if it's 3 inches, I mean, I'll go with the flow, whatever the board decides, if that causes, well, actually, it's not going to change the height.
If it is changed back to a square cut, the net result of that, doing the proper measurements with the change in grade, will land it right about exactly at what he measured and was in the previous drawings.
Okay.
But this little trick on the fascia allows this building to be 3 inches taller than it would be without that change.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll agree to those two. Just cut to the chase.
Sounds good to me.
Andrew?
Yep.
And just to be clear, you're referencing drawing 1 on A4 or on 4-1, the south elevation,
South elevation.
because that's where the height calculation is.
Yeah.
What I don't necessarily see is a pre and post calculation. It's just kind of one.
So they've mixed, they took part of the post and part of the pre, and you can't do that. You've got to measure it at pre and then post,
Right,
find the most
understood.
restrictive, and
Yeah.
you didn't do that calculation correctly.
All right, Matt, do you want to make the motion?
Sure. Are we okay with approval?
Yes.
It's up to you
Yes.
to look at it.
I don't want to look at it.
You will.
I'll see it.
I move to approve the final large-scale new construction on lot 7A San Juan Village based on the findings in the staff memo dated December 17th, 2025 with the following conditions. Revise number 1 to say, set back the entire massing of the southwest corner of lot 7A Building D, moving all building components together, including the deck, without modifying the current architectural design intent, an additional 18 inches per introduction paragraph 1 on the Colorado corridor sensitivity AC number 13, AC number 16, and AC number 16B. Condition number 2, revise the fascia on the eastern side of the primary roof to be square cut instead of the atypical plumb cut introduced in this revised design per AC 29. Condition number 3, revise the height calculation to follow the most restrictive measurement of pre or post-construction grade per LCU 2,
LUC.
LUC 2-161A. This motion is based on evidence and testimony provided at a public hearing held on November 19th. No. Held on December 17th, 2025, with notice of such hearing provided as required by the Telluride Land Use Code. Revised plans incorporating the conditions of the approval should be submitted within 60 days of the approval, or this approval be called null and void unless otherwise indicated. The revised drawings submitted for a certificate of appropriateness must be a complete set with any changes of the drawings filed and labeled. Any changes of the drawings beyond the conditions of an approval may result in more than one submittal being required.
I'll second that motion.
Hey, Stacy.
Do I have to go first?
No.
Yes.
Matt, yes.
Mark, yes.
Yes.
Andrew, yes.
Okay, unanimous. And good luck with the project. Thank you very much, Ron. Okay, next hearing item is 116 East Columbia. It's a consideration of an application for a small scale demo of a non-rated THS secondary structure inside the HLD per land use code 7203A3B 6B, an insubstantial addition to existing buildings, which will increase the structure's floor area by less than 10% per 7203A3D4C, and an insubstantial creation of a non-designated or non-rated structure that does not increase the floor area per land use code 7203A5. The east legal description, east 25 feet of lots 2, 4, 6, and 8. Lot 7, tell you right, at 116 East Columbia. It's in the HR zone district. Owner Drift Mine LLC and AZLL. Applicant Shift Architects. Staff member Darren Candelaria. Darren.
All righty, thank you, Mark. So this is for the consideration of a small-scale application at 116 East Columbia. This proposal was continued without discussion at the November 19th, 2025 HARC meeting. 116 East Columbia is located in the Historic Residential Zone District and Treatment Area within the THLD. On the lot, there are two non-contributing without qualification structures, a primary and a secondary garage. The project proposes demolition of the non-contributing without qualifications secondary structure, new construction of a two-story addition and basement to the primary structure, and a re-roof and window replacement for the primary structure. Conditions number 1 and 2 are to preserve and restore the alley structure and to consider a detached garage. The standards for demolition have been met for the proposed demolition of the secondary structure. However, there is no proposal for a new secondary alley structure. HARC should consider the change to the alley character. Condition number 4 is to minimize the length of the driveway. The proposed driveway measures over 30 feet in length, about a third of the length of the lot. Condition number 3 is to reduce the size of the decks to not significantly encroach into the side yard setback. The proposed main level deck touches the property line, and the second level deck at its widest point is less than 2 feet from the property line. Also, minor correction, I believe in my memo, I said west, it's actually the east. Condition 5 is to provide a detailed materials list and to have a clear distinction between wall and foundation materials. More information is needed for the proposed finish of the siding as well as the proposed materials overall. There appears to be no foundation material and little or no clear separation between wall and foundation material. Conditions 6 through 7 are to add snow guards or breaks to the metal roof and revise the proposed lighting fixtures to have a lower lumen output and provide bicycle storage. 6 through 8. Staff recommendation. The proposed demolition of the non-historic elements of the primary structure does not compromise the little remaining historic fabric. Staff also find that the proposed addition is compatible with the existing primary structure. The secondary structure's estimated date of construction falls outside of the period of significance. However, staff encourages the commission to consider the changes to the alley character with the approval of the proposed demolition. Otherwise, staff finds that the proposal is substantially compliant with the design guidelines and only minor changes are needed. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this application. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions?
I don't have any questions, but I think this is an excellent write-up.
Good. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Not to rain on your parade, but no, my 2 questions are, I agree, it was excellent write-up.
Thank you.
When you said preserve and restore the alley structure, I just want to make sure that we're within our purview and authority.
Mhm.
That's it's a non-contributing without qualifications alley structure.
Yes.
Okay. What you're putting that back as a condition, though it's not rated, is that it affects, which I walk by there, the historic look of the alley. But it's not rated. I wonder if we're really allowed to say preserve it if it's not rated because of the context of the neighbor or the alley look. I'm not sure. I'm asking it as a question.
Yeah. I feel like we can. You know what? I'm not completely sure myself.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Well, we'll debate that. And then the only other thing is the height is right at the maximum limit of 25 feet, not an inch below. But I wondered if, and I live, not too far away, but I walk by here. There are some houses that are 25 feet around it. far as context of the neighborhood, and there are also some one-story houses. You have no concern about the height here? You're good?
I don't, because the existing condition is 25 feet. They're not changing. The portion of the building that's existing is at the highest, and they're not changing that existing portion of the building.
Okay,
So no.
okay. If there's no other questions, we can hear from the applicant.
I think she's on the,
Chris,
I
are you-
am. I'm sorry, I didn't make it back to Telluride. Chris Prepar, Shift Architects. Give me a second. Good thing I had my computer with me. Just a couple things, and I'll be quick. I believe this is in front of the full board because of the demolition of the garage. And I will confirm with staff. We just had an agreement with the town to have it insured. So the existing structure, the primary structure, the front structure is over the property line. And so there is an agreement between town and the owner to have to leave it and to continue their legal agreement.
I don't understand.
Can you explain that?
So usually when we have a structure that is somehow impeding on town property, you need to have, I'm not sure what the agreement is called, but it's to the point where, for example, my shed on my personal house was over the property line and I had to insure it for town.
Chris, can you just point us to a drawing? I'm not sure what part of the building you're
Yep,
talking about.
sorry.
Eleanor, would you repeat?
Yeah, so we have a revocable encroachment permit with them. And
Yes.
it says, she's saying insure with an E, not an I, if that
Oh.
helps, because I was confused.
Insure.
What? So yeah, we did this like a few months ago. So their structure encroaches on the alley a little bit, but because it's historic, well, not historic, but because it's there, we like allow them to keep their structure there.
Thank you.
And I believe shed.
We're talking about the garage.
No, the primary, the existing structure. Can you guys see my screen now?
I think the shed was what
Oh,
is
so- Part of
Both of them
that,
do. Both of them
part-
do.
Let's see.
sorry.
can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So part of that was that this shed had to be removed. So here is the property line here,
Oh, it is wrong.
and this shed is over into this alley easement. Is that clear now?
Yeah, the house is right on the property line. The shed is across the property line.
We
Yes.
talk about the garage. We say shed.
A garage. Yes.
No, yeah, the existing garage.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Stacy showed me his drawing. It's like an inch or two, right? Is that primary? It's house.
The primary is an inch or two, and this is over a foot. Can you
Okay,
see my cursor?
thank you. It's clear
Yes.
on,
Okay.
to me now.
Go ahead.
Okay,
in
and
the
so it's the understanding this needs to be moved. The only consideration given for the encroachment permit is for the main house.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll just quickly, so that was number one, preserving, so we can discuss that. This existing shed does not allow for any enclosed parking. And with that, as wide as it is, doesn't meet, it would be max lot coverage. Number two is consideration the detached garage. Our preference is to not have a detached garage and have it part of the main structure with the larger yard. Minimize the length of driveway. So the proposed garage, this point here on this wall is 30 feet. 30 feet back. So by minimizing the length of the driveway, the only option would be to do some sort of landscaping, and maybe that's concrete pavers with grass in between or something different than a solid driveway, which they're completely willing to do. The materials, we can get that to staff. Snow guards, fixtures, and bicycle storage, no problem. And then this deck is 9 feet, so moving this back to 7 feet and then also moving it back 18 inches, I think would satisfy staff.
Okay,
And that's all I have. It's a really simple project. The main structure is not really being touched. It's a little funky. They like the little funky. So the goal here is to get enclosed parking, get the garage out of the easement, and build a small addition above.
okay. Questions?
Chris, I think you said that the current garage would not fit a vehicle. I thought I saw from your drawings that it would.
It's 15 feet
Yeah,
It's only 15 feet long. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
on the survey.
Bob answered the question.
I
Thanks,
looked.
Bob.
I was trying to see if you could make it a garage too.
Chris, this is Stacy. I have a question. This probably is pretty basic. I just want to be clear. On A 1.1, there's an existing site plan. There's also an existing site plan on A 1.2, the next sheet. Are those the same? Just you included on both sheets for reference. I was trying to figure out what was
I
different.
just so they were next to each other on this sheet here.
That's where I arrived. I was just making sure.
Yep.
Drainage.
Thank you for doing that. That's helpful.
Other questions?
I have a question. As far as the character of the alley and the context and whatnot, I know you show on A 1.1 that there is an adjacent building to the west. And there appears to be an alley structure to the east. Are there any other alley structures that are kind of close to that western lot line that might kind of have some continuity with the sort of alley structures in that area?
Oh, great. Our survey didn't show any. Anyway, there's a 2-story house here with the garage. This is the one that one architects did that had the 2-story garage structure here. And this one has nothing.
There's only 2 alley structures on this block.
Two
Yep.
on the
And you know, here we have, and one thing we're also missing, and sorry, because we moved this forward, is our trash and recycling enclosure out the back, which, you know, could give a little bit of, you know, rusty metal, some wood elements to this alley.
That would be the snow storage shed, would be a trash shed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we haven't even shown it yet, but we could do that in the final drawing. And just across the alley, this is, you know, La Casinas, and it's all the dumpsters.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay, let's hear from the public. Come on up, read your name in the record and ask to please 3 minutes or less if you can. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Sam Siegel. We live across the street, directly across the street from the house. I just had a couple of questions for clarification. One sort of a broad question. I know a lot of times when you're doing a major remodel on your home, you have to bring things up to code. And that number is not it's not huge. You're remodeling 25% of your house, whatever it might be. So this house has 3 of its 4 sides that don't meet the setback requirements. And you have those numbers. Plus the house itself is has a 0 setback and in fact over the alley by a few inches. This house is the front dimensions aren't changing. So is it not in your purview to question, this house is going to obviously be removed, the basement, which it basically doesn't have now, it has a sort of a dirt floor in part of it, whatever. The basement area is going to increase by about 50% from what it currently is. The house is going to be removed. All the sidings are going to be removed. All the windows are going to be removed. The roof is going to be redone. At what point in a project do you have the right to say it's coming off? You're an inch or two over. In fact, we'd love to see the house only be more in compliance with some of the setbacks. And so I don't have any idea what that rule is, but it just seems like it might be an opportunity to correct some of these things, even though the footprint of the main house is proposed not to change. So I don't know the answer to that, and I'd like you to address that. Secondly, it was commented that the main house is not being touched. Well, from everything I just said, it is being touched significantly. The back wall is being removed. The dimensions of the main part of the house are not being proposed to be changed, but there certainly is a lot being touched and done to the house. Third point just has to do with the garage and the alley structure and the landscape, how it impacts how that feels. I don't have any real input in that, but although since it was proposed in the motion that it either be preserved and restored, or I think someplace in the write-up it commented if it was being replaced with a new structure, that it be closer to the alley for a couple of reasons. If they were going to do that, put a new garage on the back, whether it had to do with the old existing structure or not, I assume the square footage that's proposed with the garage where it currently is being proposed, if it were to be moved closer to the alley for several reasons, which don't really matter to me, the addition on top of the garage that's now on the back of the house, I assume would have to be supported by posts of some sort without adding additional. If you just add a garage to what they've proposed, now you've changed the square footage and now you're over the allowable amounts. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I comment real fast?
Let's wait till the rest of the public comment and then,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I hope you will on all three questions.
Great. Marilyn Siegel, in addition to that, if you allow them to keep the house, it will not really be the same house anymore. If you allow them to keep that and encroach on the alley, the old house encroaches on the alley. If you allow that, then do you also allow the back new part to encroach? Because I believe that the upper floors on the back of the house, the new addition, do encroach on the space. And so it's sort of a 1-2 question. Do you change what's been wrong with it for all this time now that you have the opportunity? And if you don't change that, do you at least not allow more of the house to encroach? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it? I can't see anybody else.
I think there's nobody online. Anybody else online want to comment? Otherwise, that's everybody in the room. And so, Chris, go ahead. You could comment on all those. That'd be
I'll
great.
just comment just quickly. The house where it's placed is shorter than we would allow in the historic district, but it also notes that or can be equal to surrounding properties. The house next door is at the same setback, the adjacent building to the west, which is why we're proposing to leave it in its existing position. Regarding all the codes and all that, we have already discussed this with the building department. There is there's only two, the east and west on the existing house is not to code, right? We have 3-foot setbacks in the town. And with the roof on the west side, it's over. And then on the east side, and we deal with that with sprinklers and with the building department. We are reducing the deck down to 7 feet on the east side. So that now brings that back into that setback. We just aligned that with the existing wall. And the new addition, the garage, the garage, the basement, and the addition above is all within today's standards with the 3-foot setback.
Okay. Okay, there's no other public comment, but just one follow-up on the alley structure. When the public ask about, which is one of the conditions, preserving it, can that, it's only 15 feet, can that be lengthened if you were to preserve it to accommodate a car and then be closer to the alley and kill two birds with one stone, or not?
Well, yeah, I mean, Mark, it's not historic.
I know, without qualification.
And, this is what works for my client, and that is to have the attached garage. I think, the west lot does not have an alley structure. And then between these two houses is the town of Telluride right-of-way alley.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll start with deliberations. We have 8 conditions. Oh, do you have another?
I have a question, Chris, to just sort of a follow-up. Chris, this is Matt. It looks like, I don't call it out in your drawings, but from your existing site plan, just the graphic sort of shows that the existing is slightly skewed as the survey calls out, which I did not pick up on my review. And then your proposed shows it's basically squared up. Is that your intention, is to slightly relocate it just to?
I think it will be straightened out just for the sake of the foundation. And as you know, it's almost impossible to draw crooked lines in. So if they decide to do the lift on this project and it does go up in the air, things change at that point too. So this will have to be watched and dealt with between the building department and HARC during the entire process.
So can you clarify, is your intention to square this house up to the property lines or to put it back exactly where it was?
We're doing it exactly where it was.
Thank you.
Which is like an inch or two or whatever. Okay.
It's point.
And this is everyone,
0.7.
this is a permanent alleyway here. This is not a lot. This is a town utility. I believe it was called a utility easement on the, yeah, and it's funny enough here
That's okay. I don't want to go back into public comment.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
Okay, all right. However, I do need to give the right to the public. If you just heard something that's different that you didn't comment on, you have the chance to comment on it again. Marilyn?
You mentioned the front setback, and you said that you're allowed to keep it where it is because the house to the west is also in violation. The house to the west is also on the market, was on the market as often, will be back on again soon. And when that sells, that is going to require major remodel. So you would have the opportunity to have both structures come back instead of saying, well, let's leave this one in violation. Therefore, when the one next to the west sells, will that also be allowed to be in violation? Or do you have the opportunity to correct that? Thank you.
Thanks.
That would bring the whole structure back and shorten your driveway.
All right, we'll take that into consideration deliberation. We are not normally in the business with disallowing existing structure footprint, et cetera, but, and or not sure we have the power to change that.
I would just say that violation is not probably inaccurate, but it's probably not the word we want to use here. This is an existing nonconformity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're not really at liberty to do block planning.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have conditions 1 through 8 here. If you'd like to comment, if you agree with all 1 through 8, or if you have any additional ones, and whoever would like to go first, we'll deliberate.
I'll go first. I think it's a good write-up. I would like the board to primarily discuss the detached garage versus an attached garage. And I think that involves condition 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah. Everybody agree with that? I think the rest of them are pretty straightforward. So go ahead and lead us to the water.
I don't lead you to the water, but
I have one to add after this.
Okay.
Um, I didn't pick up on the attached garage being much of an issue until I went and walked the alley and walked the block. There's only 2 alley structures on this block. It's really close to the core of town. I think we would be remiss to not require that there be attached garage structure here. I know that it reduces the available square footage on the upper level a bit. It makes the master or the primary bath a little more difficult. Side note, I don't think our land use code doesn't incentivize a detached garage. It incentivizes for to do attached garage, which is, I think, something would be nice to revisit at some point. But I would agree with staff's sort of conditions, and I would say not consider, I would require that the garage be detached. I would love to see the existing non-conforming structure modified and use the same exterior materials. I don't know if we can require that. I think we could also just ask that it be a more rusticated material palette if it's built anew. And then I do think if we do require that the garage be detached, that we need to see it again. It's a major massive scale.
Okay, and that affects 4.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So you basically say, consider preserving and restoring the alley structure and provide a detached garage.
Yes.
And one more thing on number 1, because then we're gonna go around the table, but I don't know if we have, since it's not rated the authority, as I was discussing with Darren, and I very much appreciate from a preservationist view, we said keep it, but with only 2 on the block and nothing to the left and right, I'm not as sensitive to it perhaps. But I can't wait to hear other board members' opinions on that. Generally, I agree with your comments.
I wouldn't necessarily require to reserve it. I think it's gonna need to be modified to be made a garage. I'm mostly concerned about the mass, keeping the general mass and scale of it. Making it longer is not gonna be that perceptible from the alleyway or the public right of way. I guess we do have the other alley right next to it. And I think the materiality of it is unique, and I think it would be great to keep that materiality. I don't think we can, or if we can require that. It's not my feeling.
And make it into a garage, meaning lengthen it,
Yeah,
then they lose the room above where they wanted to. Or, I mean, you're not gonna have a room above then, right?
I don't
They forfeit
think
that.
that there was, I mean, the attached scenario as a whole.
Yeah.
The upper level would have to be modified.
Yeah.
Okay.
Significant. I think they would be able to maintain the same amount of basement space because they could come in and Chris could use the 10% bonus coverage, keeping it all buried under a deck. The ground level would actually grow in site coverage. You can maximize the site coverage. The upstairs would lose a good chunk of space. She would gain the space of the detached garage, but I don't know if that's obviously that's not what the applicant wants to do.
No. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I just have one other, talking about this, and I'm considering everything we're talking about. I think we'll continue to talk about it. But the one thing that I'd like to see is if we do still have the second floor addition, that the shed roof be lowered. It's not intersecting with the gable roof. It's minor. I mean, you're talking a foot.
Drawing is that? Are you
Right there, that one. Yeah. If you just look at the sketch here, there's a point where it overlaps
No, okay.
the gable. The shed overlaps the gable. If you look at the rear elevation, you'll see it.
Yeah, I see.
And it's a minor thing, but I think it would really help that just to drop that a bit so that it's not intersecting with the roof, the main roof and its fascia boards.
I wonder if that messes with the stair head height there. I wonder if we need to allow then like a dormer.
Well,
I don't disagree with that intention. Maybe we're getting too nuanced.
yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's there, but it's,
Well, no, the stair is
You're right.
still, the stair's still in the main house.
You're right.
It's just the bathroom.
okay.
What about lowering that pitch?
Any way you want to do it.
Or, okay,
And if the garage isn't down below, you could shorten this and make it wider and still have a bathroom there. And maybe
all right.
a bigger mudroom or, you know,
Think,
kitchen storage
think
or
about some
whatever.
wording that gives them all those options to skin that cat without specifying.
Am I
Well-
allowed to comment?
Well,
No.
if it's something new that you did not get a
just-
chance to comment on, I would be glad to let you have the
Yeah,
opportunity.
you guys, I just want to be clear that if we have to, if you're considering the detached garage and changing it, which takes away from its existing alley feel, then the entire addition doesn't work, right? The site's almost maxed out. It is maxed out as is, as is drawn. So, I really think the consideration of having the attached garage should be discussed.
Okay, all right, thank you. And we're,
Sorry.
okay.
And by the way, Bob, that's easy to lower that roof.
So Bob,
So
what about?
Mark, I will ask that we do reopen public comment. There shouldn't be back and forth with the applicant during this. So if we could, if it, as it specifically relates to what the applicant just stated.
Okay.
So nothing beyond that, but if there is any rebuttal, we can accept that at this point in time.
And although we've talked about the attached garage, what we didn't talk about is this little corner of the roof lowering it. So if the public wants to comment on that, please come on up. Okay, thanks, Alan. So Bob, what about 1 through 8 then? You want to make it 9?
Well, hold on. I want to talk about the garage. I didn't get a chance.
But we're going.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he was just talking, so I thought we'll finish and we'll go back.
Well, I agree with Matt. My preference would be to do a detached garage. I can understand, you know, the owner's preference to have it attached, so you just drive in and go in the house. I would prefer to save the alley structure, move it so it's compliant with setbacks and property lines and all that stuff, and you'd have to add, make it 18, if it's 15 feet, I think, 15.6, so another 3 feet, make it a compliant. You can park a small car, and I looked at it, you can park a small car in there, but you can't park a pickup truck or something. I like saving these things, even if it's not contributing or supporting. If they can save it, I would like to see that happen.
Okay, Stacy, then Andrew and Sherry. 1 through 8. And now
Yeah.
in number 9.
I was thinking on condition 3, which I agree with, since the decks were not sort of on that part of that existing adjacent to the property line there on the east. But that's certainly going to affect if that's brought in the upper deck and the lower deck. That's going to affect, I think, that double door, at least on the upper part of on the second level. So I don't know if that's something that needs to be addressed with a condition or
Upper door? Or the upper deck?
the upper deck. And so if that's brought in 3 feet,
There goes the door.
that's gonna interfere with that door, that double door.
Good observation. Anything on 1 through 8, where are you on the attached garage or detached or preserving the non-rated alley structure?
Yeah, I do have sort of a mind toward preservation as well, or at least sort of the look and feel, not necessarily preserving since it's a non-rated structure, but maybe replacing that with something that has a similar look and feel, but maybe more, modern construction, I think.
Okay. Thank you. Stacy?
Well, first of all, I think proposing a demolition of a non-rated structure is perfectly acceptable. It's not preservation because it's not rated. It's nostalgia, but it's not preservation.
Okay.
Secondly, I did wrestle with this idea. I mean, my preference is for a detached garage because that's, I think, the way we think of them on alleys. This is not, let's be clear, a very residential alley. With the church and with the Main Street commercial on the other side of the alley and with the east-west running lot to the east, there really isn't very much alley standard to work with here. So I think in this case, if you read the guidelines objectively, AS 1C 2, consider impacts and placement of alley structures on access, on views, access, and the quality of open space. Well, the quality of open space for who? The quality of the open space for the people in the alley. I think it's preferred to have an opening. You've got the back of the church and you've got that east-west running structure. If you bring that alley, if you bring a structure, a shed or a garage close to the alley, now it's a monolithic wall building. Whereas if the garage is set back, whether it's attached or not, it's a different discussion. It creates a bit of open space in the alley for the alley user. And then additionally, because it was referenced in the conditions, AS1D2, in a residential context, the use of a detached garage located along an alley is especially encouraged. So there's that. But again, in a residential context, which this is not very residential.
Yeah.
So I wrestled with this too. I hope I expressed how kind of opposed to requiring refurbishing or otherwise maintaining this non-designated structure. I mean, it's a demo. We approve those. I don't want to say all the time, but we do. And it's perfectly acceptable to ask for that. Whether it's connected or not connected, I think the applicant is correct that is a huge impact on the land use code calculations. And if we as a board require a detached, it really dramatically changes the entire project. And maybe that's fine. Maybe we don't have to consider that, but I see a guideline here that would consider the impact of it being pushed back and being attached to be a positive for the alley.
Which guideline?
Pushed back and attached,
Well,
or that's what you just said. Sure, that's what you meant.
well, but I mean, what I heard in 3 different sets of comments was that attaching it was somehow negative. I read this and I don't think so. I think the benefit for the alley, there's a benefit for the alleyscape.
Having a back.
Somewhere where the alley expands, the volume expands as you.
Attached. Which way are?
I'm not weighing in on attached or detached.
Okay.
I just don't think that we need. Look, if you read AS 1C, maintain the general alignment of secondary structures along the alley edges. Well, there is no general alignment of secondary structures because the church is a primary and most of the other project to the east is a primary. There isn't a general alignment. So for us to want to hold it to, again, I started out my comments that way. I said, my personal preference is for a detached garage because that's what we consider them to be on alleys. This is a different condition than what I think we're romanticizing.
Do we really want to follow the church structure though? Not very historic.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I don't think we want to. That's why I'm fine with that garage being further back. And if it's so far back that it's even attached, I think that's, for me, more in line with the guideline that says consider the impacts of the alley structures on the open space of the alley. I think when we think of open space, we think of it interior to the lot. But this is about the alley. Alleyscapes is about the alley.
Okay. All right, Andrew.
I mean, just furthermore, if you continue going down, it says, in 2A, maintain the rustic utilitarian character of alley and structures. So are you taking away from that if you remove it? And it does open it all up significantly. But I'm also to the point where if it's not rated, then it's hard for me to sit here and tell someone, an applicant, that they need to keep it. So therefore, if that's the case, then and Chris said she would agree to it, is instead of minimize the length of the driveway, I think we just refer to the breaking it up with pavers and other material, just so that it's not one big giant piece of concrete or asphalt. It would be nice to have a nice little yard out there if you didn't have that long driveway, but it's their house, not mine.
Well, I'm not usually on the fence. I came in thinking something else. And so I'm sorry, public comments closed.
No.
I'm sorry, I can't stop. I'm not allowed to stop deliberation. I first of all, it's not, I think the guidelines support. I don't think they support and give us the power that we say you got to keep the alley structure. But as Jerry said, we can certainly adjudicate what the new alley structure would look like, that it could look. I mean, it's a rated structure, game over, it stays there. But since it's not, and there's only 2 on the alley or on the whole block, and then we got dumpsters, and I mean, to me, it's not the normal alley that that we walk down and treasure. But we could adjudicate what that looks like. I'm just still on the fence whether it's attached or not attached with a new structure, and I realize that affects their program of square footage. So I want to just hear final comments, and then we'll take a straw poll here. Well, first of all, let me try the easy one. Straw poll on, are we going to mandate they preserve the alley structure? So I'm not sure if we really can. Anybody want to vote yes?
They wouldn't have the site coverage to preserve it with this scheme. So
Okay.
that was not going to be an option if we let them
All
move
right.
forward with this.
So then the hard part.
So we're saying eliminate number 1.
Yeah. And then is it detached or attached? And yeah, I hear the long driveway and can be broken up with landscaping and so forth. But then the tradition of having something in the alley that, of course, could look more, it can be designed to be, and Chris knows how to, utilitarian looking. Even though, and frankly, that would be about as honoring tradition as this rated structure is now, although it is kind of unique looking. But they could make it look utilitarian, and then the question is it attached or detached? So who wants to jump in and start with an argument?
When you did the numbers, a detached garage and modifying the addition that's shown on there now, 18 feet long, 18-foot bathroom on the top, that was reduced. They would meet the site coverage and the square footage requirements.
I did some rough sketching to lose that much space upstairs. I don't know how much space that is. It's kind of up for Chris to decide how she would retweak this. I think this design, it is funky. I think it is far back. I think there's a good bit of latitude with what she does with an addition. She has nicely stepped it down with the current design. So if she came back, if we required a detached and she came back and did a modification, I think she's got a good bit of flexibility. She's already hemmed in by the site pretty significantly, so.
So you're for detached? or-
I'm for, it's kind of a hard decision, but I think that for me, but I think I don't want that alley to lose, it's one of two alley structures. I think it's important to keep that there. So I guess agree.
Can I ask a more basic question? If the addition is attached, there is no alley structure.
Yeah.
So why are there alley structure guidelines being cited?
I think because, well, Darren could answer this, but I'm assuming it's because she is.
Well, right out of the gate, the preference was to keep the structure. So then the rest follows. But if we eliminate one, there probably shouldn't be any more AS.
Yeah, then how can we mandate to put something back on the alley, you mean?
Exactly.
What's replacing what was there?
No, it's an addition to a primary structure.
It was detached. I mean,
Well,
The guidelines support a detached garage, so I think it's appropriate to list. I think Darren is a great.
if you're talking about an alley structure, which we're not.
but if it's detached, it's back on the alley.
I don't want to argue in circles, but if it's attached, it's not an alley structure. So why are we using those guidelines? Sorry.
Okay. So
I would like a detached garage. I think you could leave in at number one and say, consider remediating the existing garage by allowing modifications to meet the required clearance dimensions and relocation off the property line. And I think Chris will probably just build a new garage, but if she keeps the massing and the similar location, I think the intent will be met.
okay. And Stacy, you are attached.
I'm sorry for not being clear.
Detached. Okay.
I'm reviewing
It's not.
the application that's in front of me,
Yes.
which is an attached addition.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Terry, you're welcome to chime in. You have anything else to say about that issue?
Yeah, I think I would prefer the detached garage. It is certainly supported. It does say guideline or policy 16B1. It does say in a residential context, which is arguable, I suppose. In a residential context, the use of a detached garage located along the alley is especially encouraged.
Those are all residences there except for the church, so it's a residence, it's the historic residential neighborhood.
16, well, that's 16B1, yeah. Yeah.
Read that again.
In residence context, the use of a detached garage is especially encouraged. Okay, thank you for that citing. And then Bob and Andrew.
I like the idea of a detached garage. I think that it's supported by the guidelines, and I think it will help the alley, even though it's a mix of commercial and residential. And it would give them a space between the house and the garage to have an outdoor space, which right now it's just a driveway.
Okay, and utilitarian looking. Okay, well, that's that. And Andrew?
Yeah, this is really difficult for me. It's going back to what Stacy said on trying to preserve a non-historic shed, but when you also look in AS, it says, preserve alley buildings in their traditional location wherever feasible. It's not asking if it's rated or not. So.
That's true.
So that's another one. So I do think that there are a lot of guidelines that support it. Of it being a detached garage in a residential neighborhood, which that's what this would be.
Good citing. What is that one?
AS 2A1.
Okay. So I'm gonna say, I think the guidelines based on that support a garage on the alley, conforming to, you know, utilitarian look, setback, step downs from all that stuff. And, but not mandating a non-rated structure to be reused. So they can build on top what they want to build.
You could say, consider, for number one, say instead of preserve, or consider preserving and
Yeah,
restoring.
and then still
And two, provide
require
a,
a detached garage.
Yeah. Provide attached.
I could go with that.
And then 4 would be automatic.
Yeah. Have a number 9. I don't, however you phrase that, but lower the roof or just.
I wrote it out here. Step down the shed roof form, step down the 2-story shed roof form to the rear of the lot per HR 18-2 and HR 19 intro, second paragraph.
Okay, straw poll. So detached but not force them to use the original alley structure. How would you vote? That's the way it comes up. And detached.
I agree with it.
Yes. Yes.
I agree. Yeah, and it's supports it in here too.
Yeah. That's 3 yeses. I would agree. 4 yes.
Agree.
Yep. Okay.
But we're pinning it all on HR 16. C.
One.
B, sorry, B1. Not an alley structure guideline. It's a historic residential
That's
guideline.
Yeah, I got that
We're
one.
going on it. 16-1,
Yep.
B1. B1. Okay, who wants to make the motion? We're gonna use consider on the first one and then require the number 2.
Or
Well-
provide a detached garage.
Yeah, provide.
Are we not just striking number 1 then?
Well,
do you want
we
to-
wanted to give her the opportunity to
Take a look at it.
consider restoring it, which she probably won't. But
Do you want to use, can I read my condition again?
sure.
Consider remediating the existing garage while allowing modification to meet the required clearance, dimensions, and relocation off the property line. Because it doesn't, preservation, I think, is too strong of a word.
It's
And
like Stacy
restoration is
pointed out, we're
good.
not.
And it doesn't talk about moving it. Or I think the way you said it is,
You mean remediation or rehabilitation? Well, you can't remediation. Okay.
I'm good. You guys good with that? Okay.
And then, so we would need, so if we go through this, it's a significant change to the massive scale. We need to see this again.
Yes. Continue. And what meeting date would that be, Darren, do you think?
I would recommend February 18th.
February 18th? Okay,
I can try this.
okay, go ahead.
2026.
Okay.
Remember that.
Sorry. Okay, I move to continue to the February 18th, 2026 meeting, the small scale application at 116 East Columbia Avenue based on the staff memo dated December 17th, 2025 with the following conditions. Number 1, revised to say, consider remediating the existing garage while allowing modification to meet the required clearance dimensions and relocation off the property line. Number 2, revised to say, revise the design to incorporate a detached garage per HR 16B1. Number 3, as written, strike number 4, number 5 through 8 as written. You want to do a friendly amendment?
Go ahead and we'll get the motion. Yeah.
This motion is based on evidence and testimony provided at a public hearing held on December 17th, 2025 with the notice of such hearing provided as required by the Telluride Land Use Code, and welcome any friendly amendments.
Excuse me, did you say to February 18th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Friendly amendments, anybody?
Yes, I'd like to add number 9, step down the 2-story shed roof form to the rear of the lot per HR 18-2 and HR 19 intro, second paragraph.
I'll accept that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Let's vote. We
You're first.
She's an alternate.
Okay.
Stacy, yes.
Jeez.
Matt, yes.
Mark is.
Bob, yes.
Andrew, yes.
Okay, good luck, Chris. Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
No, talk to staff.
Well, you mean about the motion?
The reason being, if we're not required to keep the shed, this then goes to staff and to chair or,
No, it's coming back. It's continued. So it'll be in front of the full board.
oh, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Anybody recuse from the next one? Okay. So the third public hearing item is the Fulton residents consideration application for a small scale new construction that will contain 2,500 square feet or more of floor area. Small scale new construction of a principal structure hillside transitional zone district on a lot with pre-construction grade or slope of building site coverage of 20% or greater, regardless of floor area for code 72021.3. Legal description at lot 7R, block E north, and the rest as written. Address to be determined. Zone district hillside transitional. The owners are Teal Rico LLC, applicant William Irwin. Staff member Darren Candelaria.
All righty, thank you, Mark. So this is for the consideration of an application for a small-scale new construction on Lot 7R Tomboy Road, project named Fulton Residence. This was continued from the October 15th, 2025 HARC meeting. Lot 7R is a vacant lot located on a steeply sloped site on the southern side of Tomboy Road. Some trees and shrubbery exist on the southern portion of the lot in addition to a large rock. Lot 7R is in the Hillside Transitional Zone District and Developing Hillside Treatment Area. Previous condition number 1 was to steepen the primary roof and significantly reduce the size of the rooftop deck. The rooftop slope for both the primary and the accessory structures have been increased. The previous slope of the primary was 512 and 312. The accessory was previously 412 and 512. The slopes for both the primary and accessory are now 7.5 to 12 and 512. The applicant stated that the rooftop deck can be reduced with planters. However, the rooftop deck has not been reduced from the previous submittal. Therefore, this condition has been modified. Conditions number 4 and 6 involve revisions to the parking pad. Condition number 4 is to minimize the height of the retaining walls and stepping or terracing and change the material to convey the character of a rock wall. One retaining wall measures over 6 feet in height, exceeding the 4 feet limitation set in the design guidelines. Excuse me. This condition has been modified as the height of the retaining wall has not been changed or stepped and terraced, though there is stone cladding. Let's see. Condition number 3 was to revise materials and material finishes to create a distinction between the primary and secondary structure. This condition has been met as the primary now has several different materials and the secondary structure, though there is a material on the primary that is the same, there is a distinction between the two. Number 6, the condition to paint or stain the exterior wood siding of the primary. This condition has been met as there has been proposed staining and finishing for the primary. Condition number 9, instead of using piers to perch the massing over the hillside, ground the massing into the hillside and step the massing up the hillside and down the edges. This condition has been modified. The proposal is no longer over piers. There is now a foundation material of stone cladding. However, there is no stepping up or down the hillside. All right, condition number 4 was to minimize, excuse me, I messed up my presentation a little bit. We're getting back on track, but minimize the height of the retaining walls with stepping or terracing. This condition has been modified as the height of the retaining walls have not changed. However, there is now proposed stone cladding. Condition number 11 was to significantly reduce the width of the upper south-facing deck. This condition has been met as it is no longer the length of the southern facade. It is just on the southeast portion. All right, condition number 5 is to revise the four-pack door opening to a grouping more similar to what was seen historically. The amount of glazing on the southern facade has been significantly reduced with only one four-pack of doors proposed. Most of the previously proposed doors and decks have been changed to windows. This condition has been met. Condition number 7 is to revise the lighting plan to remove duplicate fixtures and sconce on the second level and to have all fixtures downlit. The proposed lighting has seen a reduction, primarily with the reduction of the proposed doors on the southern facade. However, there is still a wall sconce proposed on the second level, and the proposed sconce is upwards and downward lit. So this condition has been retained. Condition number 8 was to provide a more detailed landscape plan. A detailed landscape plan has been provided, and this condition has been met. Condition number 10 was to remove the elevated stairs within the setbacks. Based on the new plan set, the stairwell is land use code compliant and this condition has been met. Staff recommendation. Though a few conditions have been met from the previous proposal, several were retained that were related to mass and scale. Therefore, staff recommend continuing the application to resolve these conditions prior to approval. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, thank you. Good job. Any questions? Okay, let's hear from the applicant and introduce your name, and if you could keep your comments under 30 minutes, and since it's continuation, hopefully just focus on the conditions. Talk to us about them.
I'm the homeowner. Will's gonna be joining us here remotely. He's my architect.
Oh, Will Irwin.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here.
That's his screen. Okay.
I'm
Thank
here,
you.
sorry.
Welcome. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I don't know if you can see my video. I was trying to share it here. Did you say you could see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, everybody, thanks.
yourself.
Will, you read your name in the record.
Sure, it's Will Irwin. All right. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Darren. So I think, we did intend to comply with everything. I think maybe I misunderstood some of the comments, but let me kind of walk through some of these. So obviously we did steepen the slope, made a significant change there. Now the rooftop deck, my comment on the rooftop deck was the initial comment was significantly reduce the size. I didn't really know what significantly meant exactly. So obviously the owner would like the deck to be as large as reasonably possible, but the way we've designed this is we can restrict it. We have a perimeter planter, and so that can expand to, reduce the amount of occupiable area. My assumption was the comment was related to not wanting like really large groups of people up there. So whatever HARC feels is the appropriate size to reduce it to, we certainly can do that. So I just wasn't sure what exactly that meant, specifically related to the size. So that's just something I wanted to make clear, is that we're definitely open to it. I just, wasn't sure what significantly meant in that case.
Okay. Did you ask staff what significantly meant?
At the last meeting, I don't believe I had the opportunity to, staff. No, I did not. I did not ask staff.
Thank you.
They can give you guidance on all this, but go ahead.
Okay.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. So I did send this kind of with respect to that. I did send my response letter, but it probably wasn't enough time. Where in my response letter to staff, I did say rooftop deck can be reduced with planters to whatever maximum size is required by HARC. Not that, Darren would necessarily have responded to that, but I guess there was some opportunity where she could have informed me if there was a specific size, but I didn't point it out to her specifically, so she may not have even thought to do that.
Okay, and we have your response in front of us, but go ahead, Will.
Okay, thanks. So the second comment was revised facades with significant breaks in wall planes. So we did do that. I think she noted we complied there. We have breaks in the side wall planes where we're expressing the structure, to kind of break that up. We added some windows as well. we can kind of see that here. So we're expressing the structure. We added windows. We also have two materials on this facade as well now. Let's try to point out the ones that we did not comply with.
Well,
Okay, so here, yeah, here's one, the retaining wall height. So minimize the height of retaining walls with stepping or terracing and change the material to convey the character of a rock wall. So I guess I didn't understand how we didn't really have a way to minimize the height of it because it's at grade now. I don't know if you can see this 3D view well. It's the top of the wall is sort of at road grade and it extends lower below grade to where we would enter the residence. So we don't really have a method of reducing this as it's kind of part of the stair. Now we could potentially eliminate it and have a floating stair, but that's why I wasn't quite following obviously we can clad it to make it natural looking, but it's not really visible from anywhere because it's at road grade. So I just really didn't understand how we could reduce that other than, we could change the design to where we don't have this kind of wall. My thought was the stone wall kind of blocks the access stair down and looks more natural. We could drop it, but then you see the side of the stair. So I don't know if that makes sense. It maybe explains a little bit more why I left it the way it was. I was trying to sort of meet the intent of what you wanted. I just wasn't sure if everyone was clear about this condition. But obviously, we're open to complying. I didn't quite know how to meet that condition based on what's happening here at the site.
Okay.
So let's see. So I think that's a big one. That was a big part of the non-compliance with retaining wall. The other one is the stepping up the hill. So my understanding was this deck in the recess of this upper level facade is considered stepping back. Now there's a portion that doesn't, but we modified this. If you remember, this used to somewhat step, but we modified this to sort of address the comments from the previous session where it no longer cantilevers out. And we also reduced this deck significantly. And so I was understanding, so if you look at this section here, you can see we definitely stepped the structure back. So I intended to meet that requirement, and I thought we were with what I'm proposing here. If that's not what was intended, that's fine. I think it was maybe a misunderstanding because I sort of considered this stepping back. Obviously, we did remove the piers. We connected the structure to grade, grounded it. We added a stone sort of plinth material. So I think that was a significant part of the concern from the previous meeting. And as far as the light fixtures, that also, I kind of misunderstood there. When you mentioned duplicate fixtures, I thought it meant, let me see if I can show the elevation. Previously, we had fixtures like above and below on multiple patios. So I was thinking that's what you meant by duplicate. We have absolutely no issue. If we don't want two fixtures here, we just want one, and these need to be downlight only. We have no issue with that whatsoever. So that's not a problem. Again, I think it was just a misunderstanding on my part. So I think those are the only comments. Those are the three big things that were non-compliant: the fixtures, the step back of the structure, and that retaining wall. So hopefully I kind of explained maybe why I presented what I did. And I think that will cover it for me for now, unless anyone has any additional questions.
Could you show a section through what's the dark colored?
This
part of the
portion?
building? Yes.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
A401.
Right here.
600.
So here's the 30-foot parallel slope. So we've kind of, the structure's kind of starting somewhat farther down the hill. So that allows us, to be under that height limit. And in fact, we're not even really at we still have additional room to spare.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll hear from the public. Anybody have a public comment on this project? If you're out there electronically, raise your hand. Oh, there's one. Bradley Zeeb, if you would unmute, please. And we ask for 3 minutes or less on your comment. Welcome. Bradley?
Hello. Nice to be with you this evening. I'm the neighbor to the west, so thank you for the presentation. Really, just one specific question. It's about the mass of, because looking at it from the west, when we look at the guest house into the main house above, while that last visual seemed to indicate that it's below, that you're in compliance with the total height allowance. I'm curious if there's a way to step down the guest house and that the western side, so that, and that may be by stepping the building into the hillside more. Because from the angle, from the bottom right image specifically, it certainly it takes on quite a bit of perspective of great mass. And that's really my only comment on this. The other changes seem pretty reasonable and an improvement. So that's my question and comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions? Will or the owner, you have the chance to comment on that comment.
Yeah, I think this is Matt Fulton. I think the problem, like, is I really am trying to avoid the digging into earth. Is like, I don't want a massive home. I don't want to have to, I've said it before, I don't want to excavate a ton of the earth to put a home on it. So I think that's the, excuse me, it's that's the issue I run into. It's just gonna be astronomical to try to, and it'll then create it where I can't have a home in this town. Like, to dig out an entire, another what, 10 feet, 15 feet of the earth. Yeah.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you for that. We'll start deliberations. We have conditions 1 through 5. Heard from the applicant, public. You agree with 1 through 5 and or any additional ones? Who would like to go first?
Could I make a comment?
Sure.
I just need to state for the record, I was not at the October 15th hearing or at the earlier work session, but I have reviewed the October 15th, 2025 video and packet. I've not otherwise participated in discussions or received information about the application, but I believe I can participate fairly in the discussion and consideration.
Yeah, and thanks for studying it. Yep.
What do you think?
Oh,
Go for it.
Well, I have to say, I really appreciate that it's not, sort of a maxed out, blown out sort of design, which seems to be kind of the tendency of people always wanting, to get the maximum that they possibly can. So I do like that about the design. I think in comparison with the October packet, it does feel like it's more nested into the site. So I think that's a good thing. With regard to condition 2, revise the facades. I feel like the western facade maybe still needs to have some sort of a different treatment, maybe just on the vertical, in the vertical sense. It says revise the facade significantly in the wall planes in a variety of materials to minimize the apparent width, but the width I think is only about 26 feet. So that doesn't seem like maybe that necessarily needs to be a hard condition. As far as the western facade, they did add some small windows. I don't know how much articulation that gives to that facade. So that's one comment.
Let's just go down the line. Stacy, what do you think?
Well, to me, the most significant condition is still number 5, which was the previous number 9. And I'll just refer back to the applicant's narrative where they discuss how they met the conditions on number 9. They do indicate that instead of using piers to perch the massing over the hillside, they have grounded the massing of the hillside. That is true. But that really has created a lot of mass. But the rest of that condition read, and step the massing up the hillside and down at the edges. That was not done at all. I understand that it happens in the middle of the project somewhat. It does not happen all in the western portion. So what we have on the west is a 3-story plane, which isn't supportable by the guidelines in any way, shape, or form. And we try to restrict 2-story planes on flatter lots down in town, and now up in a hillside, we're presented with a 3-story corner.
Could you go to the, either the section or the west elevation?
Well,
Wow.
it's really the rendering right there, the one in the
I know,
lower.
you can see it there, but I think that really shows,
So yeah, Bob, just let me wrap up and then we can go on.
I was just following up.
I'm totally sympathetic with not wanting to excavate and not wanting to shove this thing further into the hillside. I'm personally involved as a project architect on 5 or almost 6 projects that are doing exactly that, and it is a cumbersome nightmare. And so I totally understand you not wanting to do that, but it is as a result of not wanting to do that, even though the applicant got rid of the piers and grounded the lower level, that level is projecting out beyond, and you can see it in the sections, it's projecting out beyond natural grade at that point. And that's why we're just ending up with what appears to be a lot of mass that is still projecting out of the side. So these levels have to step back. And if the applicant doesn't want to excavate into the hillside, which, like I said, I totally am sympathetic with, they need to be narrower. And it's a function, I'm sure it's a geographic function of the steepness of the hillside. If you don't want to project back, it has to be narrow. You can't just project forward, which is what's happening.
Specifically on the west elevation, you mean?
Well, the west elevation is where it's the most apparent because there's no deck. Now we directed to reduce the deck and now there's nothing separating those levels. So 2 of our conditions have been taken, I would say, in the wrong direction. I mean, they were based on guidelines. They were based on reducing things that the guidelines supported. But in this instance, it's led to, this is a 3-story structure projecting up out of the hillside and not stepping back with the hillside. And there's no way around it. That's it. That is what it is.
So you're saying the 3rd floor would need to step back?
I think each level has to step.
Each level, yeah. And that might be as little as a couple feet each level. I mean, generally speaking, from your experience.
Well, if we look at a section, so 600
Yep.
or 601.
600.
Whoops, I just zoomed. If you look at the dash line, which indicates the existing grade, that first level projects what, 40% beyond natural grade? The level above that projects 100%.
Uh-huh.
Even the lowest level, which isn't a level, projects, well, I guess that one, if there was livable space there, might be acceptable.
Yeah, it's a 3-story facade right now, even though there's nothing in that lowest level, it's just grade. And I think that definitely the top floor needs to push back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I understand the friction, the difficulty here. But to reduce mass and scale to an acceptable level, you have to dig.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
And I don't know what you do with that, the tall wall that's supporting the first level.
But
that's
if
stone wall.
if that level weren't projecting 40%, you follow me when I say 40%.
Yeah.
If it was only projecting 10 or 20% out, you wouldn't need such a tall wall.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good comments. Bob, you want to finish off since you kind of started on 1 through 5?
Oh.
Anything else?
I think I don't have a problem with any of them. I think, reducing the size of the deck. I'm not sure just putting a planter up there does that. Revise the facade with significant breaks in the wall plane. I think that's specifically vertically, not so much between. I mean, it's broken into two pieces. There's got the black metal or whatever it is, half of the building, then the brick, I guess it's brick or stone, part of the building. I think, I think that breaks up pretty nicely this way. But I think you still need to do something on the west side to get that thing into the hillside better.
There doesn't seem to be any articulation between the stone and the siding. They seem to be in the same plane.
Straight up. Yep. So,
Okay.
Height of retaining walls. I think there's an issue where the stair goes, just because of how that's working, in that corner from the driveway or the parking area. Not sure what you can do with that to.
Well, would be okay with the applicant brought up removing that wall and the expense of building it or do we, I mean, you're gonna have a retaining wall, it seems like it can't be lessened. I mean, it is what it is on height.
Did you have a retaining wall with an opening through it to sort of?
Where are we with that one?
Yeah.
Looking for that one here.
Well, can you put that on the screen? Yeah, just zoom in on that corner. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, can we be clear about what we're retaining here? Which wall are we?
Well, yeah, we're hiding. We're not retaining.
It's the wall. There's a stairway that goes down past where the metal fencing is.
Yeah.
There's a stairway in there that takes you down to the entry of the house. It's tucked back in that.
That's not really a retaining wall.
It's a wall that hides.
It's an architectural feature. Right.
Right.
I mean, I think we leave it up to them, but we're not gonna mandate it, right?
But it's not the wall that's on the east side of that stairway is not stepping up, it's following the grade. Well, at least that's the way it looks to me. And you've got a portion of that wall behind it that's supporting the parking area that you see, some stone, but it's, I don't know if it'd be nice to have a section through that stairway.
It's hard to see. It's not shown anywhere in the drawings very clearly what's happening here.
Section through that, looking both directions. So you see what are we looking at?
And a 3D view of it would be helpful as well.
Yeah. So we're asking to continue it. I think they can look at that.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Andrew?
I agree with staff's conditions. When we're talking about 6, does that include the secondary structure that's everything? Because it's now become like, as we're saying, everything in the main structure's 3-story. This one's almost 2-story. Well, I mean, it's.
He's like a number 5.
Yeah, sorry, that's 6.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Fine. Just asking if that's pertaining
You
to
might
the
want
whole
to-
project.
We could add.
But I mean, I'm looking here, but just doing the quick elevations and subtracting it, it's like 18 feet from the
Yeah.
ground to the roof line. It's tough.
Okay, anything else on 1 through 5?
I would just say for 5, per what you're saying, ground the massing into the hillside for both the house and the secondary structure.
Yeah, I think we need to be a lot more clear with that language. Clearly, there was some misunderstanding there.
Yeah.
Because they did ground it, but they didn't ground it the way we meant for them to. And I don't mean to laugh.
No,
But
he said
they did ground it, but it's not on piers. But it's still the floor plates, the floor structure is still projecting just as far as it was. I think it's important, ground the massing into I know it says it, but it's not clear enough, I guess.
Well, I mean, staff is very helpful if the applicant wants to reach out to help him have a better understanding of our conditions too.
And the same thing on number one, that word significantly, who knows what that means. But my point is, if you get back with staff, I think they can help you get through this. I just want to take a straw poll on number 5. As I look at A401 in particular, and Stacy, or we can look at that section on A600, I don't, but I realize still on the second floor, or the first movable floor, may not be optimal up underground, but I think the most severe part of that is that second floor, which needs to be ground. I can live with the first floor maybe sitting out that far, but I totally agree that the second floor, top floor needs to go back into the hillside. If they got to dig anything into the hillside, I think that's the one. But let's take a straw poll. Are we good with top floor, or do we want both floors in this condition?
I think it should be each level,
Okay,
including the basement level, which doesn't include livable space.
so that's Stacy. Go ahead, Matt.
I wholeheartedly agree with Stacy.
Andrew. And
Can you word it, Stacy?
Jerry?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think what happened was they ground the massing down to the hillside, not into. So key the word into.
But we would agree that first living area doesn't obviously need to go back as far. It's the third floor that needs to go back further ground into the hillside, right?
Well,
Or so.
In a way, it doesn't matter how far you go back into the hillside, because the whole idea is that when you're in the hillside, you don't see it. It's the same argument we make about basements. You don't see basements. It's okay. What I see is these levels still projecting, and if we don't want them to project that far, that south facade just needs to be pushed back. They don't have to push, if they don't want to dig, they don't have to push the whole thing back. But that facade at each level needs to step back with the hillside.
All right. And so that number 5 needs to be reworded just a bit.
Oh no.
I mean, I think it's pretty,
I would add,
If you say each level, for instance,
we could add each level.
I think we should.
ground
But
passing of each
that's
level.
what it's trying to say. It just doesn't say step the massing up the hillside at each level.
At each level. Okay. Are we good? Any more discussion?
And add house and secondary structure.
Well, what about the secondary structure?
It's the same issue.
It's the
pretty-
same issue, but it's
so small.
much
I
smaller.
don't know if it's objectionable.
I think that rendering didn't do it any service that we were looking at.
Mhm.
If you look at the elevations, it actually has pretty nice proportions. And it also doesn't, none of the drawings show how buried it is on the side. So I think the applicant's not doing themselves a service with the renderings they're showing, because they're showing us the full view of everything in the house. We don't really know what the front looks like very well, what the stair looks like. We don't know what the southeast corner of this secondary structure.
Because of the smallness, are you okay with it as is? Secondary?
More.
It could be improved, but I'm more focused on the primary. I'm basically what Stacy said is what I agree with, so.
Okay, and I feel the same way about the secondary. How so?
Well, I still think when you look at it, you're looking at as you said, an 18-foot high wall there.
Wow, okay.
Am I allowed to ask any question right now at all?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the rules don't allow us to go back and forth after question, but staff can answer these questions. And that's
Okay.
the most key thing about this is you will get together with staff. I think it's not the severity this is just dialogue of the secondary structure, but if it is 18 feet, as Andrew measured, I think that I'm going to change my mind and say that is a little too severe, and main focus is up the hill. So, be able to make a motion?
I have another question. Regarding the roof forms, I know that, let's see, DH 17 indicates traditional roof forms. It looks like both of the On the secondary structure and the primary structure, they have a salt box, I think it's called, type of roof form, which from my understanding is not necessarily traditional. It's more of a symmetrical gable that is considered traditional in town. Is that correct, or is that asymmetrical kind of gable?
I think we talked once about the asymmetry, and because it's not in the historic district, it's a gable form. A gable form is traditional. The fact that it's asymmetric isn't, but
We've talked about this in the past of the guidelines reinforce these gable forms, but to sort of blend in with the hillside, turning the gable forms, they're not, so you see the side of them and allowing them to step up the hill has been a method that others have used and boards generally been compliant.
is your comment based on the fact that they have different slopes on each side? Is that the main?
Yeah.
Or the orientation?
No, not the orientation, that they're asymmetrical, different on each side.
Yeah,
different lengths, kind of.
I think the problem is it would go against what Stacy is suggesting, because then
having it be asymmetric
dig the roof into the.
I think it helps make it feel like it is into the hillside.
Yeah.
It pushes the
Responding to
ridge
the
for
grade.
Good question.
Makes sense.
Okay.
My only other question was with regard to the stairs, the exterior stairs, I guess, on the left side, that appears to be the only access to that secondary structure. So I don't know if that's an issue, if there's a heavy snow and somebody falls asleep down there or something.
I had the
you
same
might not
thought.
find them to till spring, but
It's sunny over there.
yeah, they used to have or in the prior design, there was a stair that came off of the one of the decks, and I don't know if that's an issue with safety or accessibility or
Well,
It was floating out there, as I recall.
They're probably gonna have an issue with having that big run of stairs, but
some of that stuff starts to get in code, which we're not considering.
Mhm.
So we have,
Safety.
do we want to clarify anything else on number 3, speaking, since you brought up the stair and then that wall that hides it? It's not really necessarily retaining, I guess. You have any other comment on that in the motion?
All I'd say is ask them to show us, give us a better look, views of that.
You mean change this to read that? Show us.
And and provide additional drawings through the stair.
Additional section view of the
Yeah.
stair, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then the only thing we're changing on 5 was to add at each level.
All up each level.
Not the house and secondary structure.
Okay, I think we are ready for a motion. I move to continue to the February 18th, 2026 HARC meeting, the proposed small scale new construction at Lot 7R Tomboy Road with the following conditions, 1 through 2 as written. Number 3, minimize the height of the retaining walls with stepping or terracing and provide additional drawings through the stairs. Per DH number 8, 8.2 and 5, and DH number 12, B1 and 3. Number 4, as stated, and 5, ground the massing into the hillside at each level and step the massing up the hillside and down at the edges per DH number 16A 1 through 6. This motion is based on evidence and testimony provided at a public hearing held on December 17th, 2025, with such notice of hearing provided as required by the Telluride Land Use Code.
I will second. Beat you.
I know.
You said provide additional
Drawings.
drawing through the stairs.
So that make it transparent.
Is that what you want?
Just say through the stairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, section view or through the stairs.
South elevation of the stair.
Okay, we have a second. Let's vote. Go ahead.
Andrew, yes.
Bob, yes.
Mark, yes.
Matt, yes.
AC, yes.
I think staff can help you figure this out. Thank you very much. Okay, our last public hearing item of the evening.
Mark, I have a recusal on this project, in conflict of interest.
Okay.
Do we recuse ourselves after you introduce it or before?
Actually, before.
Oh, then I'm recused also because I'm gonna go sit over there.
Odd. Obviously, Sherry, you're voting twice.
And can we take a,
Twice.
can we take a break? 3 minutes.
What do you want?
3 minute, we'll take a 3-minute bio break while they're setting up.
You want me to hang out? Birds to come back, or is it this the last one?
Are you recused?
Yeah.
Do we have, we ask Kristen if we have any follow-up on the
This?
agenda? Kristen, do we have anything after?
Okay, we will continue our last item, public hearing item for this evening. It is an amended CA for 214, an amended CA number 2 for 214 South Fir. It's consideration application for an amendment to the CA 11062 inside the THLD, which does not constitute a vested site-specific development plan per Land Use Code 7203A3D3. Legal descriptions, Lot 8R, Block 23 at 214 South Fur. PLK West is the owner. Applicant Chris Hawkins. Historic Preservation Consultant is John Souther. And staff member Kristen Clothier, who will give the opening.
Thank you so much, Mark. So for this review, I asked our historic preservation consultant to conduct the design guideline review, and he will do that shortly. And first, though, I wanted to frame this project. So it came in as a CA amendment. I made the decision to elevate it to the level of the full HARC board, and I wanted to kind of give you some background on why I elevated it, and I'm hoping that the applicant can provide more background and information as we move forward through this public hearing. So it came in as a set of CA amendments, one package of amendments. Here it is, elevated to the full board. It's one property, one building, one project as approved by the HARC board 3 years ago, so long before my time. HARC did grant this project a 3-year extension quite recently. So they have a 3-year extension this December to 3 years from now. So that's where we are in the present. So for this project to obtain a building permit, and there is a condition in your memo, it's a single building permit for a single building, single project that you have approved at the HARC level. Now that said, depending on what the intentions are of the applicant, certainly they can construct the project once they have a full building permit and approval for that in whatever order or configuration or however they want, but it is one project, and the CO for the one project that's currently approved by HARC that would go and receive a building permit, CO would not be issued until the full project is complete. And so that I'm just sort of stating, I think there's two things the applicant could be asking to sort of, maybe the word phasing is not the right word, but to step by step build a project, and these CA amendments would allow them to piece by piece get to the full project, but they won't receive CO until it's done, and they can't apply for half a building permit for half a project. That said, so if that's the case, then we're looking at some CA amendments like we would. I'm elevating it to the full board because there's this reference to phasing, and I think it'll be a discussion that the applicant will have with you in terms of what they're envisioning. So it's either we want to step by step build this project, these amendments are going to allow us to do that. And if that's the case, then here are the amendments, and John will work through those and he'll present those. So I think other things to make clear. So they have the 3-year extension on the current HARC approval. And I think where it gets a bit complex is if the nature of the project changes such that, if there were a proposal to divide it in two or some other path forward for this project, it would need to come back through HARC for review again. So is this a set of minor amendments that are being brought forward as a way to pace the development of the project for, to be able to build, and this will make that work and be weatherproof and all the rest as they go? Or what is that full intention in order to be able to retain that HARC approval? So I think that's the question that applicants can address depending on what they're looking to do, whether that is something that's within the current HARC approval or whether it's something that would require coming back to the HARC board if it's a change in the project's nature entirely, or anything other than one project, one build, one CO. So that's kind of where we are at the moment, and I can share more after John presents his design guideline review, but I just wanted to preface that the applicant will share a lot more about what they want to discuss with you.
Okay, and it's first of all, thank you for elevating it. It's complex enough and essential enough building, historic significance to with all these changes to, I think, to elevate. So thank you for that. And I'm not sure I've ever seen, we'll hear from the applicant about, I don't know if it's two-phase, but I've never even just seen anything like that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I think maybe there's some questions. Well, let's see. Are there some questions or comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
Sure. And actually, before you go, just to address what you just raised, Mark, I think that is the question. I mean, people can build their project in whatever order. It doesn't, if, as long as it's one project, one completion date.
Yeah, one
And then,
deal.
yeah,
I
okay.
got that, yeah.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I hope that was clear.
Confusing.
Sure.
So I have a question, Kristen. The drawings seem to show a new lot line subdividing this project into two projects, although I don't see that really called out anywhere. Is it your understanding that they are proposing a new lot line?
We have not received a subdivision application for this property. I think the applicant can speak to what their intentions are, but were it to be subdivided, it would have to be reviewed as two separate projects, because then it would have to come before you as two
Shouldn't
separate
that
buildings,
first Before we,
depending on what they're looking to do. So this might just
well,
be,
it shows that that's what they're doing.
well, I think
moving the lot line.
I want them to,
Okay, all right.
that has not come forward as an application.
Okay.
So it's not something they've discussed with you, or you have not reviewed this with the lens that this is two separate lots is what's being proposed, even though that's what graphically it looks like. It's
No application has yet come in for a subdivision, so I think the applicants need to describe what it is they are trying to do, and then that's going to determine whether we need to do another round of review, because two projects would be different than the one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my only question.
Okay.
In phase two, we've already approved that.
You've approved the
It's the
full
thing. Yeah, I
project
get
as
it.
one project.
Gave it an extension.
I'm sure they'll unlock the key to this question.
Yeah.
So, but.
Yeah.
Questions?
Go too far
But-
until they've
but-
had a
but
chance
The
to
other
present.
thing is, first of all, I think, thank you for having the applicant write a summary of what changed. That helped me go through this, because I was looking at this and I mean, the clouds are one thing, but I mean, it's a plethora of changes, that's for sure. And it would have been helpful maybe to even suggest to the applicant, the narrative was a good idea, but usually we see not just clouds and all the changes. I mean, if it's 3 or 4 things, that's fine, but not 27. That you see the before and the after. So I'm looking for, how big was that window before? And I mean, I didn't go back to previous meetings, and so it was just a little bit of a struggle, but that's, I guess, a side note. So we'll go forward.
Sure.
And if John wants to, I mean, are we gonna go through every cloud change, or just say, okay, windows, he recommends approval because, what's our process?
I think what seems to be appropriate, because your staff always gives their presentation first, is to have John, who did the design guideline review, share his thoughts on the CA amendment, which was the application. But then there's that bigger picture framing that I just gave you as well. But I think that would be appropriate, and he's
Okay.
prepared to do that.
So maybe when we go, yeah, but I don't think we need to go through every single window.
Oh, I think
No.
we will have him,
Okay,
I'm sure.
go ahead, John.
Yes.
Take us down the path. Somewhere.
Please remember to speak into the mic. Thank you.
Go for it.
So, Chair Shambaugh, members of the commission, I'm John Southard, Historic Preservation Consultant. I reviewed the amended certificate of appropriateness application against the design guidelines. So this is for 214 South First Street. Chair Shambaugh, you mentioned the owner, the applicant, et cetera. This is within the commercial zone, within the warehouse/commercial treatment area. The building itself is non-contributing with qualifications. It is located within the Telluride Historic Landmark District. There are rated structures in the immediate vicinity, several contributing and supporting, and one local landmark, that being the Telluride Transfer Building. The existing structure is a circa 1896 single-family residence. For project history, this project received HARC approval on December 15th, 2022. There was a application for an amended certificate of appropriateness. Whoops. Which was approved on September 27th, 2023. This application for a second certificate of appropriateness amendment was submitted on July 1st, 2025. Here's some images of the circa 1896 single-family residence that is on the property today. So the request is to amend the certificate of appropriateness. This for a 8,731.20 square foot multi-use building, a mid-block lot located on the east side of South First Street, south of East Pacific Avenue, and again within the Telluride Historic Landmark District and the warehouse/commercial treatment area. As has been mentioned in past presentations, the overall precepts of the design guidelines are keep it simple, keep it in scale, respect historic resources, and make all new design compatible with the existing context. So as relates to the warehouse and commercial design guidelines, a review will follow. Chair Shambaugh, I know you mentioned perhaps there's not a need to walk through each of the clouds. As you'll see in the memo, there are clouds called out on sheets A 1.0, A 0.0, A 1.0, A 1.3, A 2.0, A 2.1, A 2.2, A 2.4, A 3.0, A 3.1, A 3.5, and A 3.7. Just a quick synopsis. A 1.0, we're looking at 3 skylights, the linkage between the existing circa 1896 home and the addition being 8 feet, and a parking space, a 1.3, looking at square footage and floor area, a 2.0, which is the level 0 floor plan, looking at an egress well and a light well, a 2.1, the level 1 floor plan, looking at the residential entry, a relocation of it, the space in the garage, and the relocation of 2 windows on the link. I believe they're being moved to the east. A 2.2, the level 2 floor plan, hot tub deck reconfiguration, stairs moved to the west, and a recessed balcony toward the alley. A 2.3, level 3 floor plan, reconfiguration of west walls and simplified forms. A 2.4 roof plan. This entails separating the buildings. A 3.0 exterior materials, looking at thin brick on the north and south elevations. A 3.1 west elevation, previous versus proposed. This deals with windows and doors. Shifting windows is also the focus of a 3.3 east elevation, previous versus proposed. Shifting windows, reducing one window associated with the phasing removal of the steel pergola, and a reduced garage door width, a 3.5 north elevation, previous versus proposed, window relocation, and the addition of a window, removal of a portion of the brick wall, removal of the steel bracket, and a change in the pitch of the shed roof. A3.7, the final one, south elevation, previous versus proposed. This entails the south elevation, which was previously an internal wall, but with phasing would be an external wall until phase 2 is constructed. When looking at the proposed revisions against the guidelines, really in terms of the warehouse and commercial, found that the proposed revisions were in compliance with the design guidelines. As relates to exterior and site lighting guidelines, found that the ES number 1 exterior lighting cannot definitively say that this is in compliance, as neither the plan set nor the project narrative clearly depict or specify details related to whether exterior lighting fixtures will employ timers, motion detectors, or photo sensors. As such, my findings are that the clouded revisions found on sheets A0.0, A1.0, A1.3, A2.0, A2.1, A2.2, A2.3, A2.4, A3.0, A3.1, A3.3, A3.5, and A3.7 are consistent with all 36 of the 36 applicable warehouse/commercial design guidelines. The proposed revisions on sheet A1.2 do not sufficiently demonstrate consistency with exterior and site lighting guideline 1. As such, a conditional approval is recommended so as to ensure the below condition is addressed. The proposed motion here to approve the certificate of appropriateness with a condition, that being condition 1, provide lighting details to ensure compliance with ES number 1 intro and 1C.5. And Chair Shambaugh, that is the conclusion of my presentation. I'm, of course, happy to take questions from the commission.
Okay, thank you, John. Questions?
I have a question. First, not to sound like a broken record, but to state for the record, I was not at the September 21st, 2022 or November 16th, 2022 HARC reviews. And did not participate in the September 27th, 2023 amendment to the CA. I couldn't find that actually, but I have reviewed the packet, the November 16th, 2022 packet and video. I have not otherwise participated in discussions or received info about the application. And I believe that I can participate fairly in the discussion and consideration.
Okay.
I watched my training video.
Okay. Thank
So my question is with respect to the parking, I think it's most clearly shown on a 1.3. There's now currently 3 parking spaces. I believe that Land Use Code 3-212D requires 1 parking space per residential unit, and then for low intensity commercial, there should be 1 space per 1,000 square foot of commercial space. There's 2,000 square feet of commercial space, so that'd be 2 spaces. So there should be a total of 4 parking spaces, I believe, as required by the land use code.
Chair Shambaugh, Commissioner Gourlay, I will defer to Kristen as relates to parking, as the land use code is not reviewed.
So this is one of those projects that got approved years ago, so 3 years ago. And my assumption is that as it went through that approval, at that point in time, per the land use code and per the decision-making bodies, that was in compliance at the time.
And they did have 4 spaces at that time.
Has it changed?
We can answer
I-
that question.
It went from 4 to 3.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Well, we'll get to them. Let's ask any of the questions staff, and then they've got a lot of things that I know that.
That would be an issue.
Ready to
So
comment.
thank you for flagging it.
Okay.
Okay. But thank you, Sherry. Anything else, questions to the staff?
No.
I
Matt?
have a question. It's kind of more of a statement. And John, I appreciate you here. Appreciate you doing this. This is an unusual application and process. We're used to seeing a pretty robust staff analysis on everything in the packet. so that the commission has a chance to see what staff's opinion is without having to do all the legwork. It's also beneficial that the public can see what staff says. And the only staff analysis listed on here is the lighting. So I felt unprepared reviewing this packet between the lack of staff analysis and the lack of comparison graphics on here. So I had to dive in deeper than I normally would have wanted to. So Teresa, unless you have something else to share with us and you want to show some side-by-sides or want to go through, I don't want to go through all 36 conditions, but if you got mass and scale or fenestration or anything else that you felt was compelling that would be outside of a staff level approval for normal CA amendment, I would welcome you to show that now. And if you don't, that's understandable where you're at.
Chair Shambach, Commissioner Lee, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. I'm certainly open to revising the form of memos. I had used what I had seen as past templates as relates to yes without comment or no and then with comment. But of course, I want these to be beneficial to the commission and the public. So I'm happy to consider that. I will say there is nothing that I found to be compelling or worthy of commission attention or detailed consideration.
Okay.
Okay, there's no other questions. Let's hear from the applicant. Welcome. Read your name and the record.
Thank you. Chris Hawkins with Alpine Planning.
Mike Balser, Tommy Hine Architects.
Stacy Lake, Tommy Hand Architects.
And if I could share my
Oh,
screen,
yes.
be good too. And I'm excited that we're the last hearing of 2025. I don't know if that's ever happened before, but thank you for hearing us this evening. Okay, so this project, the history's been restated here. It's a little bit more concise, but in the end, we have 3 more years of approval, and the council approved and extended the vested property rights for the project. And that does somewhat tie that plan for the project to the overall parking plan that was presented overall. We understand there'll be some parking questions on that overall, but we feel it's compliant with what's proposed for both phases in total.
Wait a minute, to go to 4 to 3 is compliant?
For both phases overall. If you look at all phases, I believe there's 4 total on this, 2 in phase 2 as well. So there's 4 total.
I think it looks like there's only 3, 2 garage spaces and 1 tandem space.
And the original approval for this was for a restaurant. I don't know ultimately what the client's desired use was. That's 0 parking spaces. That's what the approval was for. And so if you look at just a residential only application with restaurant, the parking requirement would be 2 spaces. Even if it went to a commercial use, it's based on net floor area, which excludes storage and things like that. It's 1 space per 1,000 square feet for a low intensity retail. That would be 2 spaces overall. So even if it went to retail, we'd still have the required number of spaces with
3. But did you show 4 the last time?
I
On
would
the
have to ask
on the
Mike that
approval?
question.
It appears so on the approval.
On the original, no, I don't think we did.
I can pull up that CA plan set in a minute. So if we can wait till questions at the
That's
end,
fine.
and then, okay.
Well, but just don't forget it. Okay.
Oh, no, we won't. I know parking's important. We talk about it all the time. So as far as why we're here, the minor amendments, appreciate the review, comments. We're really here because of the phasing plan. Understand you have the right to review and comment on the design changes, fully understand that. But in terms of it, the changes, they could be easily administratively approved. And the plan is to construct the building in 2 separate phases. And that's the reason we're here in front of you. Phase 1 is shown on the plan in phase 2. And that's the reason we're in front of you. And we respectfully disagree with condition 2 because they're 2 separate buildings with an imaginary lot line, to answer your question. That's not a real lot line. It's an imaginary lot line. And so this is really a way of just splitting it up into two separate phases. It's gonna look like, the same building overall when you look at the CA. But, we focused on phase one because we knew that was most important to the community to restore and rehabilitate the historic structure on that property. And HARC can approve two buildings on one lot. It's allowed by the land use code. We had a work session on this on another application, and it's in section 3104. It says every building will be on a single lot. And it says no more than one principal building shall be located on a lot unless modified by HARC within the commercial, historic commercial, or accommodations to blah, 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 or approved pursuant to PUD. So you have the ability to do this. And we're looking at this as just doing phase one first, having the ability to do construction laydown and staging, and then proceeding on to phase two. And the intent is to submit for a building permit for phase two within the extension window. So
Is there time between the phases? I realize why you're starting.
let me answer that question.
Oh,
He's on the
okay.
phone.
I'm confused on why we even go there about
I totally
second
understand
phase.
that question. So,
Okay, all right, continue.
so HARC, it really has never included a building permit related question because it's a separate one from the code. I get why Kristen put that in there and staff put that in the memo, because they're trying to really look at this as one building and one thing overall. I want to make sure it's built that way. But it's really never been included. And again, it has the benefit of having a great laydown area, and it's more practical to develop for this area of the town, especially when it's getting really hard to build in Telluride. As far as the phasing plan, phase one is on the left of this drawing, phase two is on the right. This shows the site plan view of phase one and phase two, and then the changes, that are clouded. I did want to go and pull up the actual plan itself. There are comparative graphic plans in your plan set. Above, this is the proposed streetscape, and below is the previous approved streetscape. And so you can really go back and forth quite easily to see where the changes are. And again, if you look at the proposed plan, in my opinion, this provides a more typical streetscape with the even windows across the front overall, instead of having a little bay shed projection. This looks a little bit more traditional with the lined windows. So you can quickly look back and forth to see what are the changes on that. And then on the rear elevation, which is the next sheet, the alley streetscape predominantly looks the same. It's a little bit different of the garage changes as indicated. The window designs are much the same. So these changes aren't nearly as, and I'm going to say significant, they're not nearly as noticeable as that other streetscape. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Tommy to answer the bigger questions that might still be hanging out there. And thank you for your time and consideration.
Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Mark. How are you guys doing? So I'm a little, quite frankly, I'm a little puzzled why we're here in front of the board. 6 months ago, I had a very simple idea. The client came to me and he wanted to reconfigure the units in this approval. We had a penthouse, kind of townhouse that took up the top floor, and he wanted to separate that into a north townhouse that embraced the historic and then do the south townhouse. In working with the builder, I should say, there were also some considerations to how this would be constructed and using, building one half first and then building one half a few years later, or however that worked out. So to me, we were taking the same shell that was HARC approved, and we were reconfiguring the units. We engaged Dan Reardon, and we did a bunch of code research that we presented. And just last Friday, we got something from Sam that clearly he didn't understand what we were doing from a code perspective. I agree with Chris that somehow the permit is being conflated with the HARC approval. We've had other HARC approvals over the years where you get, a whole site approved and then you build a portion of it. You could build a primary house. You could get a permit for a secondary house. It would still be under one blanket HARC approval. So to me, that's where the disconnect has occurred on this project. The design changes are super minimal. I mean, they're really just the bare minimum that we needed to reconfigure the units on the site and the interior. Not uncommon, actually, with some of the commercial and mixed use projects we've done over the years. So I think we can work with Sam. We already have a great code plan. You can do multiple buildings on a site. It's very minimal. The staff could have approved this. I think again, I'm here to answer any questions, but to me, it seems like a very straightforward approach to be able to build, at least get started, on the historic and get some action happening on this site.
Hey, thank you. I have a question. I'd like to, okay, so I went through the previous and current, and again, I can't exactly tell sizes, but diagrammatically, I can see that most of those look normal. Some windows got bigger, some got smaller. I didn't see one thing that necessarily didn't conform to the guidelines, but can someone go to a drawing on level 2? Is this new stair layout, must be on the exterior.
What sheet, please?
Is where you change the tub deck configuration, added a new layout, that deck, and then a new stairway moved to the west. It moved to the west, or just, is there an elevation of that?
Are you talking about this, Mark, right here?
Yeah, is it, I mean, is there an elevation? I mean, is there anything to see from an elevation viewpoint, or is it?
There should be on the north.
Yeah.
Should be a north view of that
Okay.
shows the comparison in the set.
All right, if you could help me and just zoom in on that, I just want to see, that's
Sure.
something beyond a window and doors.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw roof pitches changed a little bit in 2 places, I think, and a few other things, but this one I didn't figure out.
Is there not a north elevation, guys?
Hang on, I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then where's the previous? So Mark can see. So I think the previous, yeah, the comparison sheet. So we did do, Mark, comparison sheets. You can see the previous below, the current above, and from my perspective, the proposed actually opens up that corner a little bit more, and actually presents a little less mass here from the north. It's an interior property line, so whatever gets built to the north, it's insignificant, right? But that you're seeing the previous below and the proposed above, so it's even a little more open, I think, from a massing perspective there.
Mm-hmm. And you just said the word property line again. That,
What?
Why is that dotted line shown on here as if it was changed?
This is the north, so this is a real property line.
He was talking about the north property line where 208.
The north is the property to the north, Mark.
Yeah, that's.
There's a separate property there.
And
It's the one that was burnt down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Harold's house,
Yeah.
Harold Wenzel, bless his soul.
Because I say property line because it's a different property. So,
Okay.
that you might see an application. I don't know if there is an application. I heard that Chris was maybe working on that property to the north.
There will be an application most likely next year.
Okay. What other questions do we have?
I have a question on A 1.3. If you look at the level 1 for this floor area calculation, There's an area, and I know you're not counting the garages in the floor area calculation, and this is pertaining to the half of the building, the phase 1 half. But in the phase 2 half, there's an area next to the garage that is hashed out as if it is part of the garage, but it looks more like sort of a hallway or
The green space? Right here?
no,
Or
it's
right
right
here?
next to the car.
Right
If you look
here?
at the car,
Where the bicycles are?
is that bicycles
Yeah,
up
that's
there?
just storage.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay,
a
so
storage
that's
area.
the open, okay. All right.
Okay.
And then, so I guess I'm a little confused. The original HARC approval was for one building, I guess, but now we're discussing
Well, the
two buildings.
building, whether it's a building or not, I mean, the way to think about this is that HARC approves a structure, and the building permit, you can have multiple buildings within one HARC approval. Like, for instance, this may have been, we had a historic structure that we added on to. So in theory, this was an addition to a historic structure, right? So even before, there were 3 different building components, that were linked with building area. So the idea that a HARC approval has to be one building is simply conflating the role of HARC and the role of the building department.
But I guess, what is the legal definition of a building or the definition in the code? Like, is this one building, the phase 1 and phase 2, or is it 2 separate buildings?
It would still be one building with a fire wall between the 2 halves. A 1 hour rate.
Yeah, the building department, basically, when you have multiple structures on a single site, the building code even says you do an imaginary property line between the structures. And this would be a 0 lot line, where it's connected to phase 2. But essentially, it's the same HARC approval. It's just the spaces internally are being divvied up separately or differently.
Okay.
You can see it's the same HARC approval. I mean, we're talking about like really, really minor adjustments, that we normally wouldn't even bring to this HARC board. That's why it is puzzling to me, these discussions we're having, that permit is really not even in the purview of HARC. Or
I did
how
have
we decide to build the units within a HARC approval is not HARC's purview.
I did have another question relating to the basement. It appears, I'm not 100% sure, but it appears that the basement's been revised so that the bedroom 2 protrudes, and A 2.0, I think, is a good drawing sheet. So the bedroom protrudes further to the west. And I know there had been a lot of talk about the big spruce tree and attempting to possibly save that. And I know on this current set of drawings, it does say, there's an attempt to save that tree. But I think given some of the prior discussion, moving that basement wall even further to the west is
I don't believe that's the case. I think that the historic is in the same, we were very sensitive about that.
no, it's the basement underlying the historic.
No, I'm saying I don't think that's the case. Do we have a previous
It's a
basement plan?
It used to be a mechanical space.
Was it shorter though? Was it
No.
not?
Get bigger.
No. If anything, we reduced the ceiling height in this wing to actually be better for the roots in this scenario. We were actually deeper before with the basement. Now we have a shallower basement on this portion of the building. So we're doing a better job now than the previous approval did in terms of trying to save the tree.
Okay, so the footprint did not change.
No.
They
Okay.
added the wells.
And if anything, it got shallower.
Light wells?
The wells did. The wells are added and clouded.
Yeah, but those are separate, those are out of the critical root zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And, you know, the back area too, obviously there's a change that's noted.
This is a really simple thing, you guys. I'm struggling here a little bit. So if there's any more questions.
Yeah, I still think maybe the question hasn't been answered about the parking. Understanding that if it is a restaurant use, that you don't need any parking. But there is the requirement for 1 parking space per residential unit, which in this case, there's 2.
So
That's
phase
2
one,
spaces.
ma'am, phase one, we are in full compliance with the parking. I'm going to leave it at that.
But
There
in
is
the
one
phase
residential unit and
2,
1 commercial unit on this phase.
Mhm.
And the property in total will be and will continue to be in compliant with the original HARC approval. That's all we need to talk about.
Well, in you do show phase 2 anyway, and that definitely has lost a parking space.
We were
So-
looking at the original CA and Mike Balzer can tell you what the original CA had on that for parking.
It had 3 parking spaces.
and then
Whatever the case is, it will comply with the parking requirements.
That's right. It's a reasonable question, and the answer
Yeah.
is you had 3 originally, not 4.
But they had 4 originally. 3 garage spaces and 1 tandem.
Mike, why did you just say there's 3 originally?
Because I'm only seeing 3 on the, what I'm looking at is the last CA.
Huh.
Is that the CA amendment or?
220105 is it set?
Mike's looking, Tommy.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
it's easy
mean,
to do the
it's
parking.
going to comply with the land use code. I don't think you need to waste time on the parking tonight
well,
during HARC.
We're this
So-
far in, I'd like to know if it showed 4 and if there's now 3. I'd just like to, Mike's looking.
I'm only seeing 3 in the.
That's the November 16th set, is that right? Of 2022.
Where did you find 4? Which, we're at 3?
I think that was the November 16th, 2022 set.
November.
For that HARC review.
And it shows 4 parking spots?
I believe so, yeah.
I'm pulling up the issued CA on the project right now. It was issued.
Okay.
So one moment, please, what it downloads.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you're right. The 11/16/22. That's the date you just.
Yeah.
mentioned. Yeah. that's it.
So it shows 4 spots.
I'm only seeing 3.
I'm pulling up the CA that's issued by the
All
town,
right.
so.
Take your time.
Hang on, sorry, I gotta get to that floor. I'm almost there. There are 3 parking spaces shown in that CA plan set that was officially issued by the town.
But then the tandem, is there 2 tandem as
No.
well, or?
Just 3. This was for the arrangement where it was a restaurant where there's 0 spaces and 2 townhouse units, so there's one additional space. Even if this went to retail at 1 space per 1,000 square feet, that's 2 spaces. With 2 residential units, it's 4 spaces, which is what ultimately this plan would have with 2 tandem parking spaces on each side. So under either scenario, we're compliant with parking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the difference is it's just a different layout.
Yeah.
You got them tandem here and that was side by side.
Yeah, well, that confused me also. So-
It absolutely, it's a different arrangement for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, good questions. Appreciate your thoughts and time on it. And if there's anything else you're thinking of that you'd like to talk about now, while we can still talk, respecting your time and knowing you want to get to the Sheridan like most people.
No, well, no, this is priority.
I know, I'm just.
What other questions? Anybody else? Questions?
No.
Okay. We hear from the, staff?
Just one quick thing. Our building official had flagged the building permit item. And while I know that doesn't usually come up in a CA amendment because there was phasing being discussed, all of our staff, different departments put eyes on these projects as they're coming before HARC. And we get comments from building, from public works, various that come into this conversation. And that particular element is coming from our building official who reviewed this and said he would not issue half a building permit for this project, having seen what was being proposed. So I just wanted to make sure
No.
we're supposed to sort of relay
We-
comments from the whole
Sure.
review team. And I don't know if there has been further discussion, but I have not been looped into
Again,
any
I'm just gonna
updates.
say that's the building department's purview, so I want to step out of that.
Nope.
Yeah, and if I could just ask them, even if we just ask that condition go away so we can have that.
We can, yeah, we can work that through with Sam. I
Because
don't, go
If
ahead.
it's a
Sorry, Chris.
condition, if it's a condition and Sam's okay with it, then we have to come back somehow and modify it.
Yeah.
But Sam's not gonna issue a building permit unless it's 100% code compliant.
Yeah, well,
So if that condition could please go away, we'd love that. Thanks.
I think that's his reputation. I mean, and again, we're not gonna, it's not our purview, so, but I would say this. I think I better understand now that, when we approve something that it appears to be one building, but yes, there's a firewall between this and then it's an addition onto the original, the whole homogeneous look from a passerby across the street is what we approved, and that's what we need to judge on the CA with these changes. And I've gone through the windows and made notes, and I ask about the one, the back stairway and so forth. I mean, I don't have any other questions, but if anybody else does ask, if not, we'll hear from the public, and then we'll deliberate.
Thank you.
Okay. Would the one public in the room like to be public up to the microphone, or you're just here for fun? Enjoyment?
Nothing else.
Okay.
It's okay, you can proceed.
Well, thank you for your blessing. I don't see anybody electronically. They've all gone home for Christmas. So we're gonna deliberate. So, I came in this, there's a new, well, it's not a new word, but I came in this kind of conflated myself. But I'd like to hear from the board. I think I understand better. I've gone through the individual changes here. I'm not sure I see a particular item that's out of bounds, but it was difficult to follow for me. But that's about all I know to say. So go ahead, Matt, you go next. And Bob?
Well, I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think if we had a comparison of plans would have been very helpful. We got the elevations, but seeing the plans would have helped. But I don't see a problem. I think we just do it. And it's up to Sam to decide whether they do it 2 phases and Sam wants a permit for the whole thing, or 2 permits. That's his prerogative. That's his
We
world.
gotta get that out of our heads and just say, do these changes
Yeah,
violate any?
I don't have any big issues with the changes.
Let's go down there. I'm not gonna say anything.
I think this is, I haven't been presented with a CA elevation in my time on HARC. I think this is a bit of an oddity, and it's I think it's been hard to follow. I do not agree with staff's recommendations that these are minor. I think these are major mass and scale changes and glazing changes, and I would not approve this.
Let me ask something. The glazing changes, I recognize and I've tracked, but is there anything, because I may have overlooked it, regarding mass and scale, that when you see previous versus proposed that has changed that causes you concern? I didn't.
I think the simplest way is that the building components overlapped and shared space, and felt like they were more deferential to the smaller historic structure. And I think having this clear delineation of an imaginary property line, which projects very real on this new facade, is not what we approved. And I think this is far beyond the scope of a CA amendment. I think this project needs to come back with a new application.
So, sure, I get it. Mass and scale issue with this imaginary lot line. I'm just looking, our purview is the exterior. Is there a elevation in particular that I could catch up with you on and understand that?
I think it's the First Street elevation.
Okay.
This brick form to the south used to overlap
You on
farther.
805?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead. Show us that, yeah, previous and
For
proposed.
the alley, yeah, alleyscape.
The overlap of this middle appendage, you mean?
Yeah. And now you've got a clear delineation between, essentially the imaginary property line is very visible here. Okay. If the talk is about phasing the project can be phased by still keeping these elements overlapping. What is being presented to us are two separate projects. I can't get my head around that, and I am not going to vote for it. So.
Okay.
I'm done with it.
So yeah, does that actually protrude further to the left as we look at it?
It's more prominent on the streetscape.
Okay, let's look at that.
I've got that up on the screen too.
Oh,
So the streetscape, the most predominant form far forward is the brick element, which used to extend out. Now it's being cut. So what I'm trying to say again is this imaginary property line is very present in the architecture now.
Okay, so
So that's
on AO
detail.
07, yeah.
The overall thing, this is far beyond what I would accept for a CA amendment. This is setting up to be a completely different project. And I think it's smoke and mirrors.
Okay. So, well, sure, I'll let you give your input. I mean, sorry to throw you in the middle of this, but I can see you've studied the past and this.
Yeah, no, I agree with Matt. And also just have a level of uncomfortability with separately approving or not approving. Is there also going to be a CA amendment for the phase 2? But just having seen sort of, I know it's possible to go ahead and separately approve multiple buildings on a site. Even though I would argue these are not multiple buildings. But I've seen that in the past, there's been maybe some abuses of that occurring. And so I just have a level of uncomfortableness with approving this separately from the entire context of the building.
Okay. So that means it's my turn? Yeah. Again, when I look at windows, doors, and those things, I didn't see anything that violated the guidelines in the shift, even though it was a little hard to follow. But looking at this perspective of these elevations and how that changed, I'm just going to say I have a level of discomfort with just approving this. It has nothing to do with the building department and phasing, but so as unpopular as it may be, if we needed to see this again, what would that motion look like?
Do you normally continue a CA amendment when it comes to your chair?
Yes, I have. I mean, I have said this is not good enough and they've come back again. Yes, and there's no question. I mean, I just did that 4 hours ago. So it could be continued. And again, if that's where we go, it's those, I think the information they have provided, windows, doors, and more is sufficient. But this change the look of that exterior, right, with the amount of brick, et cetera.
To me, it's primarily this imaginary property line is being very rarely presented on the outside.
You don't have that overlap look that we had before with the bigger brick pieces on front and back.
I don't know how to state this condition. I didn't have enough reference from the staff memo to cite conditions. So I'm not prepared to
Well,
continue this.
I mean, I think we're gonna have an agreement, at least 3 out of 4. I don't know where you're at now.
After I heard what you had to say,
So it's 4 out of 4 that we would continue it, and maybe the language, and staff can jump in if they want, but maybe it's as simple as continue with condition 1, maybe as written, the lighting, but and I don't, condition 2 necessarily needs to be there either. I agree with the applicant on that, but maybe the new condition 2 would be provide more detail with respect to the exterior elevations, right?
I would try to frame it some way as to have them not present this imaginary building line on the facades, to keep the integrity of the mass and scale that was originally approved.
that makes sense.
Okay, to provide more detailed elevations by not
I don't
showing.
think it's necessarily more detailed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Detail they provided is fine.
We want it.
We don't want this division in the architecture character, in the mass and scale that they are requesting. We want it to look like it was approved. This isn't moving a window or adding a skylight or adjusting this and that. This is significant compound changes here.
okay, so provide the architectural drawings comparing to original without the imaginary outline?
No.
Okay, say it again.
I don't know how to state it.
Well, I think you just did state
You
it
want
pretty
to
well.
Keep the original design. I think.
See, and not break the building up into 2 pieces, 2 separate buildings,
Okay, yeah.
basically.
Represent without breaking up the building into 2 individual buildings
Maybe they could build part of the.
to compare to the original approval.
Yeah, I want it to look like the original approval.
Compare, okay, this is different,
It's a tough one.
but
Go for it.
you want me to make this, okay. And that would be continued to when, Kristen? February 18th or no, or January. Do we have a window in January? This might not take them long.
That's fine.
It's up to the applicant. We'll pick what you want.
Tommy,
wants-
what continuance date do you want, January or February?
He muted himself. Let me ask him to unmute.
I was lip
You
reading.
need to unmute.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do in January. I mean, the irony, Matt, is that the facade, by moving further south,
Tommy,
is
I'm not
more
interested in dialogue at this
deference.
point.
Yep. Hey,
Yeah, I know, but
making
it's
a
more
condition.
hey, Tommy, I'm sorry. We can't go back and forth with the applicant according to our rules. So, but I understand actually what you were about to say. So we get it, but we're going to go to January, which was the only question we had on the table, 21st, right? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion.
And you're going to strike number 2, right?
Yeah, I am. And that there's a new number 2. So
Okay.
I move to continue EA amendment for 214 South for based on the memo dated December 17, 2025, the following condition. Oh, continue to January 21st with the following conditions. Number 1 is written, strike number 2 and replace it with a new number 2 that shall say represent the drawings without breaking up the building into 2 individual buildings to better compare to the original approval. There's no reference to guidelines. And then where's the last sentence? Oh, this,
It's because it's an.
well, that's right. It's a continuance, so I don't need
It's an amendment, so it's.
an amendment. So it's, yeah, to see amendment. So,
Say this motion is based on evidence and testimony.
well,
No.
yeah, we can say that. I don't remember the whole paragraph,
Yeah,
but this motion is based on, we'll take it from another one.
Yeah, just take it from another one.
Let's say, based on evidence and testimony provided at a public hearing held on December 17, 2025, and no such hearing is provided as required by the Tyler Land Use Code revised plans incorporating the conditions of approval submitted with 60 days of this approval, or the approval becomes null and void, and the rest as written.
Matt will second.
Okay, Sherry, let's vote.
Yes.
Matt, yes.
Mark, yes.
Bob, yes.
All right. Thank you for your patience, and we look forward to seeing you in January. All right. Happy holidays, everybody, and we will adjourn the meeting at 9 p.m.
Yes.
We just did.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm typing. I can't.
Are we off the recording now?
Well, that one goes to that chair.